Eleanor Vale slapped me in front of 200 guests at my own engagement party, then slapped me again when I did not apologize to the woman my fiancé had been touching all night. Lucas stood beside his mother, one hand on Sienna Blake's bare back, and said, "Vivian, don't make this worse." I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth, took off his ring, and saved the live recording before anyone noticed my phone was still running. By the time the red mark on my face started to burn, the first bank transfer had already been stopped. By the time Lucas realized I had left the ballroom, the shared account was frozen, and exactly 1 hour after Eleanor raised her hand against me, she was standing outside the service elevator with her pearls crooked, whispering, "Please, Vivian, please have mercy." She still thought mercy was something she could order from me. She was wrong. The first slap sounded louder than the string quartet. For half a second, nobody moved. The violinist nearest the champagne tower froze with her bow still raised. A waiter stopped with a tray of smoked salmon blinis balanced on one palm. 200 guests in black tie and silk dresses turned toward the center of the Hawthorne Grand Hotel ballroom, where Eleanor Vale's diamond bracelet had just caught the light as her hand came down across my face. My cheek stung, heat spread under my skin, my left earring swung against my jaw. I did not touch my face. That was the first thing I gave myself. Control. Eleanor stood so close I could smell the powdery rose perfume she wore every time she wanted to pretend cruelty was manners. Her silver hair was pinned in a smooth twist, her smile had vanished, but her voice stayed calm for the room. "Apologized to Sienna," she said across from me. Sienna Blake pressed both hands to her chest as if she had been shot instead of splashed with 2 drops of red wine that she had spilled herself. The wine marked the pale blue silk of her dress in a small, dramatic bloom. Around her neck was the diamond collar Lucas had told me belonged to the family vault, the same necklace Eleanor had said was too important for me to wear before I was legally a Vale. Lucas stood beside Sienna, his fingers still at the small of her back. That was what hurt more than the slap, not the sting, not the humiliation. His hand. "Viv," he said quietly, as if I were the one making a scene, "just say you're sorry." I looked at him, my fiancé, the man whose ring was on my finger, the man who had sat in my mother's old kitchen 3 years earlier and told me he loved how I did not need applause to be strong. Tonight he wanted me small enough to fit under his mother's shoe. "I didn't touch her necklace," I said. Sienna's eyes shone under the chandelier. "I never said you stole it, Vivian. I only said you grabbed at me, you stepped into me, I was trying to hug you, you were trying to get close enough for the cameras." A ripple moved through the guests. I heard someone whisper my name. Someone else whispered Sienna's. Lucas's jaw tightened. He hated when conflict refused to stay behind velvet curtains. "Vivian," he said, "this is our engagement party. I know exactly where I am." Eleanor's nostrils flared. She hated that answer even more. She wanted tears. Tears could be managed. Tears could be photographed from the right angle and turned into a story about an emotional bride. Calm was harder to edit. "You have embarrassed this family enough," Eleanor said. "I haven't embarrassed anyone." She lifted her hand again. This time I saw it coming. I could have stepped back. I could have caught her wrist. I could have given the room the violent little clip Sienna had been waiting for all night. Instead, I let the second slap land. It cracked across the same cheek. Pain flashed bright and clean. My vision blurred for one breath. The room sucked in air. Sienna's mouth parted, but there was something hungry in her eyes. Lucas did not move. That decided everything. I pressed my tongue against the inside of my cheek and tasted blood. Then I looked down at my left hand. The ring was beautiful, a square emerald-cut diamond set between 2 smaller stones, cold and expensive, chosen by Eleanor because it matched the Vale family tradition and not because it matched me. Lucas had slid it onto my finger 6 months earlier on a terrace above the river while photographers pretended to be surprised. I twisted it off. The room changed again. People understood a slap. They understood drama. They understood a rich mother-in-law losing control. They did not understand a woman quietly removing an engagement ring in the center of a ballroom without crying. Lucas finally stepped toward me. "Viv, don't." That was the first honest thing he had said all night. Not "don't be hurt." Not "don't leave." Not "don't make my mother hit you twice." Don't take away the symbol I thought still owned you. I placed the ring on the nearest cocktail table beside a half-empty flute of champagne. I Won't apologize for being attacked, I said. Eleanor laughed once. It was sharp enough to cut glass. Attacked? You always had a flair for victimhood. Sienna took a shaky breath. Mrs. Vale, please, I don't want this to ruin tonight. Of course she did. She had spent the last 3 hours ruining it one touch at a time. She had arrived late in a dress the exact shade of the engagement invitations. She had kissed Lucas too close to the mouth. She had given a toast about old promises and unfinished stories. She had asked the photographer to capture one more photo of the three of us, then leaned into Lucas while her hand brushed my ring. Then she had tipped her wine against herself and gasped loudly enough for table 12 to turn. Every move had been small, every move had been public. Every move had depended on me reacting like the jealous fiancé she needed me to become. I looked at Sienna. You should clean the wine before it sets. Her face tightened, then I turned and walked away. No one stopped me. Maybe they expected Lucas to follow. Maybe they expected Eleanor to call security. Maybe they expected me to collapse in the powder room and return with swollen eyes and a statement about family misunderstandings. I did none of that. I walked through the ballroom doors into the side corridor where the noise dropped behind me like a curtain. My cheek throbbed with every heartbeat. The hallway smelled of lilies, floor polish, an expensive panic. At the end of the corridor, a young banquet captain stared at me. "Ms. Hart," he said. "Are you all right?" "No," I said, "but I need you to remember that you asked." He blinked. "What is your name?" "Ben." "Ben, I need the name of the event manager on duty, Nora Finch. Call her, now." He looked toward the ballroom. "Mrs. Vale said all event requests go through her team tonight." "Not anymore." I opened my clutch. My phone was still recording. The red line moved across the top of the screen. Counting seconds, I stopped the recording and saved it to a hidden folder named after my mother's birthday. Then I sent it to 3 places: my private cloud, my lawyer, Marisol Vega, Andre Wells, compliance director at Hart Foundation. My hands were steady. That surprised me until I realized something simple. I had been shaking for 3 years. Tonight I had stopped. A message from Marisol appeared within seconds. "Call me." I did. "Tell me you're not bleeding," she said before hello. "A little." "Where are you?" "Hawthorne Grand, engagement party." Eleanor slapped me twice in front of the room. Silence. Then her voice changed. "Is Lucas with you?" "No." "Good. Do not be alone with him. Do not sign anything. Do not give anyone your phone. Is the Vale Medical Center authorization executed? Escrow release is scheduled for midnight. Do you want it stopped?" I looked through the narrow window in the ballroom doors. Lucas had returned to Sienna. Eleanor was speaking to a cluster of donors with her hand pressed against her pearls, already rebuilding the story. Sienna tilted her head toward Lucas, and he bent down to hear her. 3 years of excuses lined up in my mind and died quietly. "Yes," I said. "Stop it." Marisol did not ask if I was sure. Good lawyers knew when a woman had already crossed the bridge. "I'll call Andre. Send me everything. Stay visible. Get the hotel's incident record." I ended the call as Nora Finch hurried down the corridor in a black blazer, tablet clutched to her chest. She was in her 40s, neat and alert, the kind of woman who looked like she had solved disasters involving drunk groomsmen, collapsing cakes, and senators' mistresses. Her gaze went to my cheek, her expression tightened, but she did not gasp. "Ms. Hart," she said, "I am so sorry. Your cameras cover the ballroom." "Yes." "Do they cover audio, ambient, in select zones, not always clean?" "Preserve everything from 6:30 p.m. to now." "Ballroom, East Corridor, service hallway, green room, loading dock, and elevators." Her eyes flicked behind me. I turned. Lucas stood at the far end of the corridor. He had finally followed me. "Too late, Viv," he called. "Can we talk?" I said to Nora. "Do not release footage to the Vale team without my written consent or a subpoena." Lucas reached us. His face carried controlled irritation instead of concern. "Nora, give us a minute," he said. Nora looked at me. "That was the first kindness of the night." "Stay," I told her. Lucas exhaled through his nose. "Don't do this in front of staff." I almost laughed. He could let his mother hit me in front of donors, but a hotel manager hearing his tone was too intimate. "What do you want?" "Lucas, I want you to calm down." There it was. Not "Are you hurt?" Not "My mother was wrong." Calm down. I watched him closely. His bow tie was slightly crooked. There was a red mark near his cuff where Sienna's lipstick had brushed him when she hugged him earlier. He smelled faintly of whiskey and her perfume. Your mother slapped me twice, I said. She shouldn't have, but you know how much pressure she is under. Tonight, pressure doesn't raise a hand. You embarrassed Sienna. Sienna staged it. That is exactly what I mean. His voice dropped. You sound paranoid. Nora's fingers tightened around the tablet. I smiled. It felt strange with my swollen cheek. Paranoid. Lucas softened his expression. He was good at that. He had a face built for donor dinners and apologies that cost him nothing. You've been stressed, he said. The wedding, the foundation, your mom's anniversary coming up, I get it. But you cannot punish everyone because you felt slighted. My phone buzzed. Andre, authorization hold initiated. Escrow frozen pending review. I turned the screen toward Lucas. He read the message for the first time that night. True fear passed across his face. What did you do? I stopped punishing myself. Vivian. Now he used my full name. He only did that when money entered the room. The medical center release. He said carefully. Tell me you didn't touch it. I froze it. He stared at me as if I had slapped him. Behind the ballroom doors, applause rose. Eleanor must have salvaged the toast, or started a new lie. Lucas stepped closer. That money is not a toy, neither am I. You can't just freeze $80 million because you had a fight with my mother. Watch me. His face hardened. There was the veil air. The man under the charm. You are making a mistake. No, I made the mistake 6 months ago when I said yes. He looked down at my empty hand. Something ugly moved in his eyes. Not grief, not love. Calculation. Put the ring back on, he said. No, we will discuss the foundation tomorrow. No, his voice went cold. You understand that if this gets out, people will ask questions about you too. There are cameras. There are always cameras. Stories still depend on who tells them first. Sienna's threat in a different mouth. I looked at Nora. I need an incident report. I'll prepare it, she said. Lucas turned on her. You will prepare nothing until my mother speaks with hotel ownership. Nora raised her chin. Mr. Vale, the incident involved physical contact with a guest. We are required to document it. A guest, he snapped. She is my fiancée. Not currently, I said. His head turned back to me. The corridor went very still. Then Eleanor appeared. She walked fast for a woman in 4-inch heels, with Sienna floating behind her like a pale blue ghost. Eleanor's public smile was gone now. She held her phone in one hand and the edge of her pearls in the other. Vivian, she said. The way she said my name told me the bank had called. I glanced at the time. 58 minutes since the first slap. Eleanor stopped 3 feet away from me. Her gaze flicked to Nora, then Lucas, then my cheek, as if the mark were an unfortunate stain on hotel linen. We need to speak privately, she said. No, her lips thinned. This is a family matter. It became a legal matter when you hit me. Sienna made a tiny wounded sound. Vivian, please don't twist this. I looked at her. You should be very quiet right now, Lucas said. Don't talk to her like that. I turned back to him, still protecting her, still making everything a war. No, a war has 2 sides. This was me finally leaving the battlefield. Eleanor stepped closer. Her voice dropped until only those of us in the corridor could hear. The bank froze the bridge line. That sounds inconvenient. Do not be childish. Do not be violent. Color rose under her powder. You know what is at stake. I do. The hospital wing, the women who need treatment, the families depending on the project. Your mother's name is on that pledge. That almost worked. She knew where to press. She had been pressing there for years. My mother's name, my mother's work, my fear of becoming selfish with what she left me. But tonight, my mother's name felt less like a chain and more like a hand at my back. My mother built that foundation to protect vulnerable women, I said, not to finance families who hit them in ballrooms. Eleanor's eyes flashed. Then she did something I had never seen her do. She looked around to make sure no guest could see, lowered her voice further, and pleaded, please, Vivian, please have mercy. There it was, 1 hour after she raised her hand, 1 hour after Lucas chose silence, 1 hour after Sienna smiled at my humiliation. Mercy. I touched my cheek for the first time. It hurt. Good. Pain made things clear. Eleanor, I said, you still don't understand. Her fingers tightened around her pearls. Mercy was never yours. To demand, Nora's tablet chimed. She looked down, her face changed. What is it? I asked. She hesitated. Someone from Mrs. Vale's team just requested deletion access for the ballroom footage. Lucas's expression went blank. Sienna stopped breathing. Eleanor did not look surprised. That told me more than an apology ever could. I held out my hand to Nora. Show me. Nora led me into a service office behind the east corridor. The kind of room guests never saw. The ceiling was low, the carpet changed from ballroom gold to practical grey. A printer hummed on a metal shelf beside spare charger cords, first aid kits, and a half-eaten sandwich wrapped in paper. It was the most honest room I had entered all night. Nora closed the door but did not lock it. Smart woman, she kept the blinds open too, so anyone passing could see we were not hiding. On her tablet, a hotel security portal showed a flagged request. User, Vale Event PR Temp Action Requested, Purge Clip Package, Ballroom A, 7:34 p.m. to 8:09 p.m. Reason, Client Privacy Correction. My cheek pulsed. Can they delete it? I asked. Not anymore, Nora said. I froze the event folder when you asked me to preserve it, but someone had admin credentials from the Vale vendor team, who approved those credentials. She swallowed. Mrs. Vale's office submitted their PR staff list last week. Was Sienna Blake on it? Nora tapped twice. Sienna Blake, Senior Communications Consultant, Temporary Media Access. There it was in black and white, not a wounded guest, not an old friend who had accidentally become the center of my engagement party staff. Sienna had access to the media system before she ever walked into the ballroom wearing that blue dress. Export the request log, I said. I already started. A sharp knock hit the door. Lucas did not wait for an answer. He pushed inside, followed by Eleanor and Sienna. Ben, the banquet captain, hovered outside with the frightened face of a man who wanted to keep his job and his soul. Vivian, Lucas said, enough. The word landed flat. Enough, as if I had slapped myself, as if I had spilled wine on Sienna, raised Eleanor's hand, frozen the funding, and requested deletion of the footage, all because I loved attention. Eleanor glanced at the tablet. Nora, this room is for staff. Nora's smile was polite. MS, Hart is an injured guest involved in an incident report. Eleanor's eyes sharpened at injured. An unfortunate misunderstanding, she said. I touched my cheek. That is a strong word for 2 slaps. Sienna stepped forward, tears trembling exactly where cameras would love them. I don't want the footage deleted. I don't want any of this. I just wanted tonight to be beautiful for you and Lucas. Then why did your login request deletion? Her tears paused. Lucas turned to her. Sienna. She looked genuinely startled for 1 second, not guilty, startled that I had moved faster than she expected. I don't even know how that system works, she said. Nora looked at the tablet. The request came from the credentials issued to your email. My assistant must have misunderstood. You don't have an assistant listed. Sienna's mouth closed. Lucas ran a hand through his hair. This is spiraling. Viv, come home with me. Home, he meant the penthouse overlooking Riverside Park, the one I had found, the one my credit had helped secure when Vale credit lines were temporarily complicated, the one where his mother had once walked through the kitchen and said, "It's cozy," in a transitional sort of way, as if my taste needed a warning label. I looked at Lucas. No, you are not thinking clearly. I am thinking with unusual clarity. His face tightened. You're hurt. I understand that. You don't. I do. You stood there. That finally silenced him. Not for long. My mother was wrong, he said, and Eleanor's head snapped toward him. But freezing the medical center is disproportionate. You can't punish sick women because you are angry at me. I laughed once. It surprised all of us. Do you hear yourself? I asked. You are using sick women as a shield because your mother hit one. Eleanor inhaled sharply. Do not compare yourself to patients in crisis. Don't use them to cover your bridge loan. Lucas's eyes flashed. Careful. There it was again. A warning dressed as concern. I turned to Nora. Please send the logs to the email I gave you and to Marisol Vega. Eleanor said. Our family attorney will review any release of footage. My attorney will review your mother's assault. Sienna whispered. Assault? Vivian, she barely touched you. I took one step toward Sienna. Lucas moved immediately. He put himself between us. The reflex was so fast it finished breaking my heart. I looked at him over his shoulder. You move quickly when it's her. He flinched. Sienna's eyes lowered, but not before I saw satisfaction there. I left before they could turn the room into another stage. Nora walked me to the service elevator. Do you need medical attention? Not for this. You should still document it. I will. Her voice dropped. MS. Heart. I'm going to be honest with you, Mrs. Vale's team has been difficult all week. Lots of last-minute changes. Lots of special requests. Sienna wanted access to the AV booth for a surprise memory video. What video? I didn't see it. She brought her own drive. Was it played? No, not yet. I looked back down the corridor. Through the narrow office window, Lucas was speaking to Sienna in a low voice. Eleanor stood stiffly apart, phone pressed to her ear. Preserve that too, I said. Nora nodded. The elevator opened into the private garage. My driver, Paul, saw my face and opened his mouth. Don't, I said gently. His jaw tightened. MS. Heart. Take me to the penthouse. He wanted to ask about Lucas. He did not. My mother had hired Paul 12 years before. After a donor followed her home from a gala, he had learned the power of silence on the drive. Manhattan slid by in streaks of glass and wet pavement. My phone kept buzzing. Lucas, Eleanor, unknown number. Lucas again, then Sienna. I opened hers. You don't want to turn this into a public fight. People already think you are jealous. Don't prove them right. I took a screenshot. Then another message arrived. Lucas loves peace. If you loved him, you would give it to him. I took another screenshot. Then I replied, peace without respect is just silence with better lighting. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. No message came. At the penthouse, the doorman looked surprised to see me alone in my ivory engagement dress with a red cheek and no ring. MS. Heart, he said. Should I call up? No, but I need the visitor log for tonight preserved, of course. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor felt longer than the 3 years I had spent learning how to explain Lucas to myself. He was stressed, his mother was old-fashioned, Sienna was part of his past. Vale finances were complicated, families like his took time to warm up. I had fed myself excuses until I could no longer taste truth. The penthouse opened into quiet, white marble, walnut panels, flowers from the engagement photo shoot drooping in a vase by the window. On the entry console sat a silver frame with a picture of Lucas and me from our proposal night. My smile in the photo looked careful, not happy. I walked past it. The first thing I did was turn off shared location. The second thing I did was change the smart lock code. The third thing I did was open the safe behind the laundry room panel. Inside were documents Lucas had never cared about because he thought paperwork was less powerful than charm. The original prenuptial agreement draft, the Hart Foundation ethical conduct clause, my mother's letter appointing me controlling trustee at 30, the escrow agreement for the Vale Medical Center project, a flash drive labeled V Legacy Old, copied from my mother's archive 2 years ago when I first noticed the Vale Foundation reporting inconsistencies and let Lucas convince me I was overreacting. I laid everything on the dining table, then I changed out of the engagement dress. The zipper stuck halfway down my back. For one wild second, I almost called Lucas out of habit. He had zipped me into it before the party, kissing the back of my neck and saying, "Tonight, no foundation talk, just us." Just us had included his mother hitting me and his old love wearing the necklace I had been told I had not earned. I gripped the fabric and pulled until the zipper broke. The dress fell to the floor. Good. I put on black trousers, a white shirt, and the flat shoes I kept by the closet for emergencies. My cheek looked worse in the bathroom mirror, red, swollen, a faint cut where my teeth had caught the inside of my mouth. I photographed it under bright light, front angle, left angle, timestamp. Then I called Marisol again. "I'm home," I said. "Alone?" "Yes, stay that way." I changed the locks. "Good. I am sending a process server in the morning with notice of preservation." Also, Andre confirmed the escrow hold. The bank reacted fast because the Vale Bridge line was tied to the midnight release. How bad, for them, very. Without Hart funds, the bridge lender can demand additional collateral by noon tomorrow. I sat at the table and looked at the ring of documents. So that is why she begged. Partly. There is more. Tell me. Marisol paused. The bridge loan paperwork references a supplemental guarantor approval from you. I went still. I never signed a guarantor approval. I know, Andre sent me the scan. The signature is wrong. A cold, clean anger moved through me, not hot, not dramatic, useful. Send it, it's already in your secure folder. My laptop chimed. I opened the file. There was my name, Vivian Hart, a signature that looked like someone had studied mine from holiday cards but misunderstood the pressure of my hand. The V was too pointed. The final N lifted. Wrong date. 3 weeks ago. I stared at it. 3 weeks ago I had been in Boston visiting a shelter project. Lucas had called me twice that night. He had been affectionate, almost boyish. He had asked me if I missed him while someone in his circle was copying my name onto a financial document. My phone rang. Lucas again. This time I answered. He spoke before I did. Why did the lock code change? You came to the apartment, our apartment. My name is on the lease guarantee. My clothes are there. I will have them packed. Vivian, stop acting like this is a breakup. I looked at the fake signature on my screen. What is it? Then, a fight, a terrible fight. My mother lost control. Sienna was upset. You were upset. We all need sleep. Did you sign my name to a guarantor approval? Silence. It lasted 3 seconds too long. What are you talking about? He asked. The bridge loan. Another silence. Shorter, better managed. That was standard paperwork. I did not sign it. You authorized the project, not that document. Viv, don't start using legal language with me. Why? Does it make theft sound less romantic? His voice hardened. No one stole from you. Who signed my name? I don't know. Find out. You froze the money. My mother is humiliated. Sienna is crying. And now you're accusing me of fraud. You let your mother hit me. I told you she was wrong. After you saw the bank message, he breathed out. Come on, that's not fair. No, Lucas. Fair was standing beside me before money left the room. He was quiet, then he changed tactics. I love you, he said once. Those words had been a key. Tonight they sounded like a door rattling after I had already locked it. No, I said, you love what I make easier. That's cruel. So was your silence. I ended the call. My laptop chimed again. This time it was an email from Nora. Subject, preservation confirmation. Attached were the event logs, the deletion request, and a note. MS, Heart. I also found the uploaded media drive from MS, Blake's AV request. It contains a file titled Vivian_reaction_final MP4. It was scheduled to run after the toast if approved. My fingers paused above the keyboard. Vivian_reaction_final. Before the wine, before the slaps, before I had reacted at all, they had named my breakdown before they staged it. The city lights beyond the windows blurred for 1 second. I let them. Then I saved Nora's email to the same folder as the recording. The folder had a new name now. Engagement Party. Inside it, I created subfolders: assault, deletion request, forgery, smear plan. Then I made one more folder: ring. I walked to the entry console and picked up the photo from the proposal night. The woman in the frame still thought love could survive disrespect if she worked hard enough. I took the frame apart, removed the photograph, and placed the empty frame on the table at 11:42 p.m., exactly 4 hours after the party began. The concierge called. MS, Heart, Mr. Vale is in the lobby. He says he needs his ring. I looked at the ring in the photo folder in my phone, lying on the cocktail table where I had left it. Tell him, I said, he should ask his mother. I did not sleep at 5:30 in the morning. The city was still dark and the bruise on my cheek had changed from red to a deep, ugly rose. I sat at the dining table with coffee I did not drink, reading the forged guarantor approval for the 7th time. Fraud had a texture. People imagined it as dramatic: a stolen password, a midnight transfer, a villain with a burner phone. Most of the time, fraud looked like a PDF with a neat header and a signature placed 2 inches above a notary stamp. It looked boring until it ruined your life. At 6, Marisol arrived with a black leather tote, a paper cup of coffee, and the expression she wore when she had already decided someone was going to regret waking up employed. She stopped when she saw my face. Hospital, she said. No, Vivian, I'll go to urgent care after the bank. She set down her tote. You know I hate when clients become stubborn for symbolic reasons. This is not symbolic. If we don't stop the guarantor trail before business hours, they will move documents. She studied me, then nodded once. Fine. 10 minutes, then. We go. That was why I trusted Marisol. She argued with me like a friend and moved like a weapon. She spread papers across the table. Andre pulled internal access logs. The guarantor approval was uploaded through the Vale Foundation portal by Malcolm Crane's office. Family attorney, yes. The notary is from a mobile service used by Vale Corporate. I never met a notary, which makes this stupid as well as criminal. I almost smiled. Can stupidity be used in court? Every day, she slid another page toward me. This is the ethical conduct clause Lucas signed when Heart Foundation agreed to move the medical center pledge into final review. Read section 12. I knew it by heart, but I read it aloud. Any act of fraud, coercion, physical abuse, reputational manipulation, or material misrepresentation by recipient leadership or affiliated parties may trigger immediate suspension of disbursement pending investigation. Marisol tapped the words physical abuse, then fraud, then reputational manipulation. Your fiancé's family may have achieved the rare triple trigger in one evening. Former fiancé, her eyes lifted. I looked at the empty ring finger on my left hand. Former. I repeated, the word did not heal anything. It did something better. It made the wound honest. At 7:15, Paul drove us to Heart Foundation headquarters, a limestone building on Madison Avenue that my mother had refused to make flashy. The lobby had no giant donor portraits, no marble wall of names, just a brass plaque engraved with her favorite sentence, help should never require humiliation. I stood in front of it longer than I meant to. Marisol did not rush me. My mother had been dead for 4 years. Cancer, late diagnosis, fast decline. She had spent the last months of her life worrying not about dying, but about whether I would confuse endurance with goodness. People will praise women for swallowing knives, she had told me once from her hospital bed. They will call it grace. Don't believe them. I had believed Lucas instead. Andre Wells met us in the third-floor conference room with a laptop, 3 binders, and the pale face of a compliance officer who had smelled smoke in the walls. Vivian, he said softly when he saw my cheek. I'm all right. No, you're not. That almost broke me. Not because it was tender, because it was accurate. I sat. Show me the logs. Andre clicked the screen. The guarantor document had entered Heart Foundation's external portal at 2:14 p.m. 3 weeks earlier, it had been uploaded by Malcolm Crane's office. It had been marked supplemental approval confirmed per v. Heart and routed to a junior reviewer who thought the authorization had already been cleared by me. The junior reviewer had flagged it because the metadata showed edits after signature. Good catch, I said. Andre nodded. She is terrified. Tell her she may have saved us. I did. He moved to another file. There is more. That phrase was becoming a door I hated. Opening, on the screen appeared a draft press release. Vale Foundation and Heart Foundation celebrate historic family partnership. Under the headline was a photo from our proposal night, Lucas and I smiling, Eleanor standing beside us like a queen accepting tribute. The release described me as future Mrs. Vivian Vale, a beloved supporter of the Vale family's philanthropic vision, not trustee, not controlling officer, not the person with final approval, supporter. Further down, one sentence made my stomach turn. The combined families will steward a multi-generational commitment to women's health under the leadership of Eleanor Vale. My mother's money, Eleanor's leadership. My name erased before I had even signed it away. Where did this come from? I asked. Andre's mouth tightened. Sienna Blake's PR packet. It was uploaded to the media folder attached to last night's event. Marisol leaned back. So the engagement party was not just social. No, I said, it was a takeover announcement with flowers. Andre clicked again. This file was worse. Crisis messaging. Vivian H. Emotional volatility scenario. My vision sharpened. Bullet points filled the screen. Emphasize grief anniversary. Express compassion. Avoid direct accusation. Frame concerns as family support. Use Sienna as calm witness. Do not mention trustee structure unless necessary. I read each line slowly. They had written a plan for my discrediting before I had given them anything to discredit. Marisol swore under her breath. Andre looked sick. Vivian, I am sorry. Don't be. Send it to the secure archive. My phone buzzed. Lucas, I let it ring, then a text. We need to meet before this gets uglier. My mother is willing to apologize privately. Do not let lawyers destroy us. I stared at destroy us. Lucas thought lawyers destroyed relationships. He did not understand that sometimes they simply arrived with flashlights after people had already set the house on fire. Marisol read the message over my shoulder. He wants you in a room. Without witnesses, he can want. Andre's assistant knocked and stepped in. Sorry, the bank is on the line. They said the Vale side requested emergency confirmation that the hold is temporary. Put them on speaker. I said. The bank officer introduced himself as Daniel Price. His voice was crisp, careful, and already aware he was not having a normal morning. MS. Hart. Thank you for taking the call. We received notice from Hart Foundation Compliance suspending the Vale Medical Center escrow. Release. Vale representatives have indicated this may be the result of a personal dispute. Marisol's eyebrows rose. I folded my hands. It is the result of fraud concerns, a physical assault at a foundation-linked donor event, attempted deletion of event records, and reputational manipulation tied to the release. There was a pause. Understood, Daniel said. Marisol slid me the forged guarantor approval. Also, I said, I did not sign the supplemental guarantor approval currently in your file. That pause was longer. I see, Daniel said. I could hear typing. MS. Hart. We will need a formal statement. You'll have it within the hour. Until then, the bank will maintain the hold and flag the guarantor document for internal review. Andre closed his eyes briefly in relief. Daniel added, I should inform you that Mr. Lucas Vale is currently in our lobby asking to speak with the private credit team. Of course he was. Tell him, I said, that all communication regarding Hart Foundation authorizations must go through counsel. I will relay that. The call ended. Marisol gave me a look. Now urgent care. In 15 minutes. Vivian. I need to call Gwen. My aunt answered on the second ring. Sweetheart, she said, I saw something online. Tell me where you are. My chest tightened. At the foundation. Is your face as bad as the clip looks? What clip? Marisol opened her laptop before I finished the question. Within seconds, she found it, a 30-second video posted by an anonymous account that already had too many views. The angle showed Sienna stepping toward me, it showed red wine on her dress, it showed my face, cold and unsmiling, then it cut to me saying, you should clean the wine before it sets, then it cut to me walking away while Sienna looked devastated. No slap, no Eleanor, no Lucas's hand on Sienna's back. Caption. Billionaire charity bride humiliates fiancé's longtime friend at engagement party. Sources say family concerned about her behavior. I watched it twice, not because I needed to suffer, because details mattered. The crop hid Sienna's foot stepping into my path. The audio cut before Eleanor demanded an apology. The timestamp had been removed. That was fast, Gwen said over the phone. Sienna had it ready. Do you need me? I looked at my mother's plaque through the conference room glass. Yes, I said, but not to fight for me. Good, Gwen said. I raised you better than that. You didn't raise me, your mother did. I took notes. I almost cried then. Almost. Gwen's voice softened. Listen to me. They will try to make you prove you are not unstable. Do not waste your breath. Prove what they did. I have footage. Then let the truth do the screaming. After we hung up, Marisol packed her papers. Urgent care, she said. This time I did not argue. The clinic doctor photographed my cheek, documented swelling and inner mouth injury, and asked if I felt safe at home. I said yes. Then I corrected myself. I feel safer than I did last night. She looked at me with the tired understanding of a woman who had heard too many versions of that sentence. By the time we returned to the foundation, Lucas had left 7 voicemails. I listened with Marisol in the room. First voicemail, Viv, call me. Please don't let the internet twist this. Second, my mother is devastated. She knows she crossed a line. Third, the bank is overreacting because you scared them. Fourth, if you love me, you will not do this. Fifth, Sienna is getting threats because of you. Sixth, I don't know who signed that document, but accusing my family publicly would be unforgivable. Seventh, you need to remember what I know about you. Marisol stopped writing. What does he know? She asked. I stared at the phone. That I wanted a family badly enough to ignore one. At noon, Andre walked back in with another folder. I pulled the old archive you requested, he said, the V legacy file from your mother's records. He placed it on the table. Inside was a memorandum dated 6 years before my engagement. My mother's handwriting marked the top corner, Vale Foundation, unresolved concerns. I turned the first page. There were project delays, misallocated donor funds, inflated administrative fees, payments to a consulting firm connected to Eleanor's cousin, nothing proven criminal yet, but enough that my mother had paused a partnership before her diagnosis. At the bottom, in blue ink, she had written one sentence: Eleanor Vale mistakes access for ownership. My hands curled over the paper. I heard Lucas's voice in my head. Put the ring back on. I heard Eleanor's, please have mercy. I heard Sienna's, people already think you are jealous. They did not know my mother had seen them first. Marisol's phone rang. She stepped away, spoke for less than a minute, and returned with a grim expression. That was a reporter I trust. Lucas is preparing a statement. About what? You. Andre's screen refreshed with a new alert. Lucas Vale posted 3 minutes ago. I read it on the conference room screen last night. Should have been a celebration of love and family. Instead, someone I care about deeply acted from pain, grief, and pressure. I will always protect Vivian's dignity, but I also ask for compassion for those hurt by her actions. I hope she accepts help before more damage is done. There it was, not an accusation. Worse, a loving cage. Marisol said. He is painting you as unstable, Andre said. The board will see this. I know. My phone buzzed. Lucas again. This time a text. I tried to be kind. Don't force me to tell the whole story. I looked at the forged signature, the smear plan, the medical report, the deletion request, my mother's note. Then I typed back, tell it by 2 o'clock. The Vale family learned that frozen meant frozen, not delayed, not emotionally negotiated. Frozen. I knew because Eleanor called Andre, Daniel Price at the bank, Marisol, 2 board members, my Aunt Gwen, the hotel owner, and finally me. 8 calls in 23 minutes. I ignored all of them until Marisol said, let her leave a voicemail. People reveal more when they think silence is disrespect. The voicemail arrived at 2:41 p.m. Eleanor's voice was controlled at first. Vivian, this is Eleanor. We are all upset. I understand you feel wounded. I am prepared to acknowledge that last night became heated. Marisol paused the message. Became heated, elegant. She pressed play. But your decision to suspend a critical medical project is irresponsible. You are putting your personal feelings above women who need care. I cannot believe Margaret would have wanted this. There it was again. My mother as a leash. The old Vivian would have called back. She would have explained. She would have begged Eleanor not to use Margaret's name like a weapon. She would have promised the project mattered and offered to separate the funding from the family conflict. The old Vivian had been very useful to people who hurt her. The new one listened to the rest. If this is about the ring, Lucas still wants to speak with you. If this is about Sienna, that can be managed, but the bank needs confirmation by close of business. Call me. Click. Marisol looked at me. Thoughts. She still thinks the slap is a public relations issue. Yes. She still thinks Sienna is an inconvenience, not part of the plan, or she wants you to think that. She invoked my mother before apologizing. That one I noticed. I opened a blank document and began typing, Dear Mrs. Vale, no too polite. Eleanor, no too personal. I closed the laptop. I don't want to answer her directly. Good. We answer with notices. At 3, Marisol and I met with the Foundation's emergency committee. 5 people sat around the conference table. Andre was there, Gwen joined by video, wearing no makeup and the expression of a woman who would happily fly across the country to commit social murder. The board chair, Thomas Keane, cleared his throat. Vivian, before we begin, I want to say what happened last night was unacceptable, thank you, but we also have to consider the public impact of pausing the Vale Medical Center project. I looked at him. Thomas was not a bad man. He was worse in some ways. He was cautious in the presence of other people's pain. We are not pausing the project, I said. We are pausing Vale access. He frowned. Explain. The funding was for a women's recovery wing. It was routed through the Vale Foundation because they had hospital relationships and naming infrastructure. If their leadership is compromised, we can redirect through another medical partner. Andre nodded. Legally possible. Operationally difficult but not impossible. Thomas looked uncomfortable. That may be perceived as retaliatory. Gwen's voice cut through the speaker. A woman was assaulted at a foundation-linked event and someone tried to delete the footage. What exactly would you like the foundation to perceive? Another board member, Priya Shah, leaned forward. Do we have evidence of the deletion request? Andre slid copies across the table. Yes, also a potential forged guarantor approval. That changed the room. Caution became attention. Marisol explained the timeline. She did not dramatize. She did not need to. Facts, when stacked correctly, could become a wall. 7:38 p.m., staged incident 7:41 p.m., first slap 7:42 p.m., second slap 8:03 p.m., authorization hold initiated 8:36 p.m., deletion request submitted morning, forged guarantor identified noon, public statement by Lucas Vale framing Vivian as unstable. By the end, Thomas no longer looked cautious, he looked angry. Who signed the guarantor? He asked. That is under investigation, Marisol said. But it came through Malcolm Crane's office. Priya turned to me. What do you want from the board? Formal suspension of Vale Foundation access pending investigation, authorization to preserve and redirect the medical project, approval to notify the bank that Heart Foundation will not confirm any Vale-linked guarantor paperwork bearing my name unless verified by outside forensic review. Thomas exhaled. That is a lot. Yes, are you prepared for the Vale family to go public? They already did. Priya looked at my bruised cheek. I vote yes. Andre did not vote, but I saw relief pass over his face. Thomas hesitated for 6 seconds, then he said, yes. The first door closed with a board resolution at 4:20. The bank received notice. At 4:35, the Vale Bridge lender demanded additional collateral. At 4:47, Lucas called me from a number I did not recognize. I answered because Marisol signaled yes. Vivian, his voice was stripped of Polish. What the hell did you just do? Protected my name. You humiliated my mother in front of our lenders. Your mother humiliated me in front of our guests. Stop comparing a personal mistake to financial sabotage. Stop calling assault personal and forgery financial. He breathed hard. I could hear traffic behind him. Do you understand what happens if the bridge line collapses? Yes. My family could lose the medical center partnership. Yes. We could lose the gala donors. Yes. We could lose the Riverside property. That one was new. Marisol looked up sharply. I wrote it down. Riverside property. What does Riverside have to do with the medical center? I asked. A pause. Nothing. I mean, everything is connected right now. Then untangle it. You are enjoying this. No, Lucas, I am documenting it. Do you want me to beg? Is that it? I looked at my ringless hand. Your mother already tried that. His voice lowered. I chose you. Vivian, no, you selected me for stability and punished me when I asked for respect. You know that's not true. Then tell me why your old girlfriend had media access to our engagement party. Silence. Tell me why there was a file called Vivian_reaction_final before I reacted. Still silence. Tell me why your attorney's office uploaded a guarantor approval with my signature. Malcolm handles paperwork. Convenient. Do not go after my family. You should have said that to your mother. Before she hit mine, my family is under pressure, and I was under her hand. He made a sound that might have been frustration or fear. Meet me tonight. No, Vivian, please. There it was. The smaller version of mercy. Why? Because I love you. Try again. He said nothing. I waited. Finally, he whispered. Because if you don't restore the release, my father will find out how bad things are. My eyes closed. Not because it hurt. Because I wanted to remember the exact second Lucas finally told the truth. Thank you, I said. For what? For answering. I ended the call and sent the recording to Marisol. She listened to the last line twice. Riverside property, she said. We should pull records. Andre was already typing. On it, at 5:30, the second door closed. The shared account Lucas and I had used for wedding expenses, household staff, travel, and dinners with his mother was frozen pending separation of funds. I had contributed 84% of the deposits. Lucas had contributed charm and occasional checks that arrived late. Our wedding planner called 6 minutes later, voice trembling. Vivian, I'm so sorry, but the final floral invoice was rejected. Cancel the hanging orchids. But Mrs. Vale ordered them for the rehearsal dinner. Mrs. Vale can pay for them. There was a pause. I see. She did not see. Not yet. Then the caterer called, then the stationer, then the private car service, then the jeweller's assistant, asking whether I still wished to approve resizing on the wedding bands. No, I said, there will be no wedding bands. That one made my throat close. But only for a moment. Every cancelled invoice was a thread pulled from the costume they had dressed me in. Bride, donor, fixer, quiet girl, future Mrs. Vale by 6. My inbox filled with forwarded panic. Eleanor to Lucas. Why is the florist calling me? Lucas to Eleanor. I told you to wait before pushing her. Eleanor to Lucas. Do not put this on me. Sienna to Lucas. I can help with messaging. She wants control. Lucas to Sienna. Not now. Sienna to Lucas. You said she would fold. I stared at that line. You said she would fold. Marisol leaned over my shoulder. Forward it. I did at 7. The concierge called to say Lucas was in the lobby again. Is he alone? I asked. No, Mrs. Vale is with him. Of course. I went downstairs with Paul beside me and Marisol on speaker in my pocket. The lobby had tall glass walls and a sculpture of a bronze bird taking flight. Lucas stood beneath it. In the same tuxedo trousers from last night, shirt open at the collar, he looked exhausted in a way that would have moved me once. Eleanor stood beside him, immaculate again. She had repaired the pearls. She had not repaired herself. Her eyes went to my cheek. She looked away first. Vivian. Lucas said, "Can we go upstairs?" No. Eleanor's mouth tightened. We are not having this conversation in a lobby. We are not having it in my home. Lucas flinched at my. Eleanor stepped forward. I came to apologize. I waited. Her throat moved. Last night, I lost my temper. Try again. Her eyes flashed. Excuse me. An apology names the act. Lucas said quietly. Mom. Eleanor's fingers twitched. She wanted to hit something. This time there were cameras. I slapped you, she said. Twice. I slapped you twice. In public. Because I would not apologize for something I did not do. Her lips pressed into a white line. Because tensions were high. I smiled. There it is. Lucas rubbed his forehead. Viv, please, she is trying. No, she is trying to reach the bank through me. He stepped closer. Paul moved half a step. Lucas noticed and looked offended, as if he had not watched his mother use her hands. Just tell us what you want, Lucas said. I want the truth. We can give you that privately. The truth doesn't need privacy. Shame does. Eleanor's face hardened. You are becoming vindictive. I looked at her. For 3 years. I had translated her insults into concern. I had taken her corrections about my clothes, my voice, my background, my mother's overly emotional philanthropy, and folded them into myself like laundry. I had thought acceptance was something a woman earned by becoming easier to love. Now Eleanor stood in my lobby, after hitting me, after trying to delete the proof, and called me vindictive because I would not pay her bills. No, I said, I am becoming unavailable. Lucas's face changed. That word frightened him more than anger. Unavailable meant no dinner reservations fixed at the last second, no donor calls smoothed over, no foundation credibility draped over veil ambition, no woman at home turning cruelty into context. Eleanor took one more step toward me. If the funding is not restored by tomorrow, you will force us into decisions none of us want. Is that a threat? It is reality. I looked at the lobby camera above the front desk, then back at her. Good. Reality has been waiting. Lucas reached into his jacket and pulled out the ring. For a second, my breath caught, not because I wanted it, because muscle memory is cruel. My body remembered the terrace, the river, the flash of cameras, Lucas's hand shaking as he slid it on. He held it out like an offering. Put it back on, he said softly. We can still fix this. I looked at the diamond, then at him. You still think the ring is the problem? His hand lowered. Behind him, Eleanor's phone rang. She checked the screen and went pale. Lucas, she whispered. He turned. What? She held up the phone. I saw only a subject line. Demand notice. Vale Riverside Holdings. Riverside again. Marisol's voice came through my pocket, low and satisfied. Vivian, she said. We found the collateral. I looked at Lucas. His face told me everything. The medical center bridge loan was tied to a property he had never told me about. And somehow, They had tried to put my name on the hook for it. The invitation to dinner arrived the next morning inside a cream envelope delivered by hand. Not a text, not a call, not even an email. An envelope Eleanor Vale believed in paper when she wanted manipulation to feel like tradition. I opened it at my kitchen counter while Marisol watched over video and Gwen sat across from me eating toast she had brought herself because she said my refrigerator contained rich people's sadness and almond milk. The card was thick, engraved, and absurd. Vivian, please join us this evening at the Vale residence for a private family conversation. We owe one another honesty, grace, and calm. Eleanor. Gwen snorted. Grace is what women get asked for when men are out of excuses, Marisol said. Do not go, I should go, both women said. No, I lifted a hand. Hear me out. Gwen narrowed her eyes. That phrase has preceded many disasters. They want me private because they want control, I said. If I refuse, they'll say I'm unreasonable. If I go prepared, they may say exactly what we need. Marisol's eyes sharpened. Prepared means wired, visible, and leaving at the first sign of coercion. Yes, Gwen goes with you. Gwen wiped crumbs from her fingers. Gladly. No, I said. They won't talk freely if Gwen is there. That's the point, Gwen said. I need them to talk freely. Marisol studied me. You are not going because part of you wants them to become a family again. The question was sharp. Fair. I looked toward the living room, where the empty photo frame still sat on the table. No, I'm going because the woman who was slapped in that ballroom deserves to hear them ask for her silence out loud. Marisol nodded slowly. Then I will be in your ear. At 7, Paul drove me to the Vale residence on East 74th. A limestone townhouse with black planters, brass lanterns, and the kind of windows that made wealth look private and judgment look architectural. I had entered that house dozens of times. Thanksgiving, Christmas drinks, Eleanor's committee breakfasts, Lucas's father's birthday. Every time, I had carried something: flowers, wine, signed checks, donor lists, patience. Tonight I carried a small recorder inside my bra, my phone in my hand. And no gift. The butler, Charles, opened the door. He had always been kind to me in the careful way staff in wealthy homes were kind to people the family had not fully accepted. MS. Heart, he said. His eyes flicked to my cheek, now fading into purple at the edge. Good evening, Charles. He hesitated, then said softly, I'm sorry, that did more than Eleanor's envelope. Thank you. He led me to the dining room. The table was set for 5. Eleanor sat at the head. Lucas stood by the fireplace with a glass of whiskey he had not drunk. His father, Richard Vale, sat to Eleanor's right, looking older than I had ever seen him. Malcolm Crane, the family attorney, occupied the left side with a leather folio. No Sienna. Interesting. Eleanor rose. Vivian, thank you for coming. I came to listen. Lucas looked at me as if I had kicked him. He still wanted warmth from the woman he had helped corner. Richard cleared his throat. Vivian, before we discuss anything else, I want to say I was disturbed by what happened at the party. Disturbed, a word for bad weather and unpleasant art. Your wife hit me, I said. His eyes dropped. Eleanor's smile sharpened. We agreed to speak calmly. I am calm. Malcolm gestured to the chair opposite him. Please sit. I remained standing. If there are documents, send them to my lawyer. This is not adversarial, Malcolm said. I looked at his folio. Then why did you bring a trap? Lucas set down his glass. Viv, I turned to him. Did you know about the guarantor document? No, the answer came too fast. Richard looked at Lucas. Eleanor looked at Malcolm. Malcolm adjusted his cuffs. The recorder against my skin felt warm. I sat. Dinner began because Eleanor could not resist structure. Soup arrived. No one ate. Charles poured water. The silverware sat untouched, gleaming like little knives. Eleanor folded her hands. I want to begin by apologizing for my behavior. I said nothing. Her jaw tightened, but she continued. I slapped you twice. It was wrong. I regret allowing the evening to become emotional. I leaned back. You regret the emotion, not the violence. Her eyes flashed. I am trying to make peace. Peace does not require me to rewrite what happened. Malcolm opened the folio. No one is asking you to rewrite anything. We have prepared a mutual statement that acknowledges distress on all sides while protecting the charitable project. He slid a page toward me. I Did not touch it. Lucas moved closer. Just read it. I read without picking it up last night. During a private family celebration, emotions ran high due to wedding stress and recent grief. I regret my role in the misunderstanding and ask that the privacy of all involved be respected. I remain committed to the Vale Medical Center project and to healing with my future family. I laughed, not loudly. That would have been too generous. No. Richard looked pained. Vivian, the project matters, then. It deserves honest leadership. Eleanor's voice cooled. You are not the only person who cares about women in crisis. No, but I seem to be the only one in this room who noticed one was hit 2 nights ago. Lucas flinched again. He had started flinching often. I wondered whether guilt was finally arriving or only fear wearing softer clothes. Malcolm slid another document forward. The statement would be paired with a confidentiality agreement, standard protection, no admission of fault by any party. There is fault, alleged fault. My face is not alleged. Eleanor's hand clenched around her spoon. Malcolm kept going. In exchange, the Vale family would agree not to pursue claims related to reputational harm caused by the suspension of funds. I looked at him. You want me to sign away my right to speak after your client assaulted me and someone in your office uploaded a forged document? Careful, Malcolm said. That single word changed the temperature. Lucas looked at him sharply. Malcolm, I smiled. No, let him finish. Malcolm's eyes were small and flat. False accusations can carry consequences. So can forged signatures. Richard finally spoke with force. What forged signature? The room stopped. Lucas closed his eyes. Eleanor turned to him. Richard, no, Richard said. He looked at me. What forged signature? I watched Lucas. If he had told the truth then, perhaps some piece of me would have mourned him differently. He did not. It's a paperwork issue, Lucas said. Vivian is upset and misreading things. Don't, I said. He looked at me. Don't what? Make me smaller so your father can stay blind. His face reddened. Eleanor cut in. This is precisely the volatility we are concerned about. I turned to her. There it is, the word from Sienna's crisis memo, for the first time. Eleanor looked caught. Richard's gaze swung to her. What memo? No one answered. I stood. Send all documents to my lawyer. Lucas crossed the room quickly. Don't leave. I looked at the space between us. You do not get to stand indoors anymore. That hit him. I saw it land. His voice dropped. I am trying to save us. No, you're trying to save the version of us where I keep paying to be humiliated. I didn't know she would slap you. But you knew Sienna had a reaction video prepared. He went silent. Richard pushed back his chair. Lucas, Eleanor said. This is not productive. No, I said, it's very productive. I turned toward the exit. Lucas followed me into the hall. Vivian, he said. Low and urgent. Please, stop. I kept walking. He caught my wrist. It was not hard. It was not violent. It was familiar. That made it worse. I looked down at his hand. Let go. He did. His eyes were wet now, finally. But the tears had arrived for the wrong funeral. I didn't want this, he whispered. What did you want? You, my family, the project, a life that made sense. At what cost? He looked toward the dining room, where Eleanor's voice rose and Richard's answered. Tell me, I said. He rubbed both hands over his face. Sienna was supposed to make you jealous, not hurt you. The words were quiet. The recorder caught them anyway. My chest went still. Say that again. His head snapped up. He understood too late. Vivian was supposed to make me jealous. I repeated. Whose idea? He said nothing. Yours. No. Eleanor's. Silence. Sienna's. He closed his eyes. That was enough. I stepped back. Thank you. For what? For choosing the truth after it stopped being useful. I left him standing under a portrait of his grandfather, a man who had built a shipping fortune and probably never imagined his descendants would risk it all because they could not let a woman keep her dignity outside. The night air felt cold against my cheek. Paul opened the car door. Home? He asked. Office first. On the ride, I sent the recording to Marisol. She called within 30 seconds. That is gold, she said. It doesn't prove the forgery. No, it proves intent to manipulate you. Good. Are you okay? I looked at the Vale house through the rear window as it disappeared behind us. No, I said, but I am done being useful. At the office, Andre was waiting with takeout containers and more bad news. The edited video is spreading, he said. Lucas's statement gave it fuel. He opened a monitoring dashboard. My name trended under 3 phrases: charity princess meltdown, jealous fiancé, veil engagement drama. There were comments from strangers who had watched 30 seconds of a staged clip and built a woman they wanted to punish. She looks cold. I bet he still loves Sienna. Money doesn't buy class. Why is she ruining a hospital project? Marisol arrived 10 minutes later and listened to the dinner recording. At Lucas's line, she stopped it. Sienna was supposed to make you jealous, not hurt you, she repeated. This is enough to push back publicly. But I advise we wait. Why? Because if we release everything now, they can claim grief and confusion. Let them escalate. Let them commit to their lie. Gwen, on speaker, said, I hate when lawyers are right. Andre turned his laptop toward us. They may already be escalating. A new post had appeared from Sienna, a photo of her wine-stained dress, her eyes red, Lucas's hand visible on her shoulder at the edge of the frame. Caption, I never wanted to be part of anyone's pain. I only hope every woman involved gets the help and healing she needs. Every woman involved, not every person. She had turned me into a danger to women. My phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered on speaker. A man's voice said, MS, Hart, Detective Alvarez, NYPD. We received a complaint from MS, Sienna Blake regarding a missing diamond necklace. Marisol's eyes sharpened. I looked at the screen where Sienna's wounded face glowed. Of course you did, I said. The police station smelled like old coffee, wet wool, and fluorescent light. I arrived at 8 the next morning with Marisol on my right and a folder thick enough to discourage casual lies. Photographers waited outside because Sienna had made sure they would. She stood near the entrance in a beige coat, face pale, hair loose, looking like someone auditioning for a documentary about betrayal. Lucas stood beside her. That hurt less than it should have. Pain, I was learning, had a limit. After that, it became information. Sienna saw me and lifted her chin. Vivian, you don't have to do this. I stopped 2 feet away. I agree. Her eyes flicked to the cameras. I just want my necklace back. The necklace on your neck. For one beautiful second, her hand flew to her throat, empty. Then she remembered she was not wearing it. A photographer snapped the moment. Marisol stepped forward. Any further communication goes through counsel. Lucas glared at her. This is personal. No, Marisol said. This is now a police matter because MS Blake filed a false complaint. Sienna's eyes filled. False. I wore that necklace at the party. Vivian grabbed at me. Then it was gone. I looked at Lucas. And you believe her? His jaw tightened. I believe this has gone too far. That was not an answer. He looked away. Detective Alvarez met us inside. He was in his 50s, tired-eyed, and unimpressed by expensive emotion. We're taking statements, he said. No one is under arrest. Good, Marisol said. Because we brought purchase records, insurance documents, event footage logs, and a timeline. Sienna's lawyer, a sleek woman named Patrice Morrow, arrived 3 minutes late and looked annoyed that Marisol existed. We sat in a small interview room with a scratch table. Sienna gave her statement first through tears. She said I had been cold all night. She said I resented her history with Lucas. She said I grabbed her shoulder after the wine spilled. She said she noticed the necklace missing when she returned home. She said she did not want to accuse me, but she could not ignore the timing. The detective took notes without expression. Then Marisol opened our folder first. The necklace appraisal, owner, Vale Family Trust, custody sign-out, Eleanor Vale to Sienna Blake, 3:00 p.m., event date, return requirement, midnight same date 2nd, Hawthorne Grand Security stills, Sienna wearing the necklace at 7:36, Sienna touching the clasp at 7:39, Sienna leaving the ballroom through West Corridor at 7:44 with necklace still visible 3rd, a loading dock camera at 8:11 p.m. Sienna handing a small velvet pouch to a man in a grey suit. Detective Alvarez looked up. Who is that? Sienna had gone pale. Patrice leaned in. We need context. Nora had given us the context at 6 that morning. That is her driver, Marisol said. According to hotel valet records, he placed the pouch in the glove compartment of MS Blake's car. Sienna whispered, I forgot. The detective stared at her. You forgot you gave the necklace to your driver before filing a complaint that MS Hart stole it. Sienna's mouth opened. Closed. Lucas looked at her as if seeing a crack in a painting he had paid too much to admire. I felt no satisfaction yet, only confirmation. Sienna recovered fast. I was upset. I had been publicly humiliated. I wasn't thinking clearly. Interesting, I said. That's the line you wrote for me. Patrice said, MS. Hart should not be speaking directly to my client. Marisol smiled, agreed. Detective Alvarez closed the folder. MS. Blake, I strongly suggest you locate that necklace immediately. Patrice touched Sienna's arm. We will. The complaint did not become a case. But outside, Sienna still had cameras. She walked out first, shoulders rounded, one hand covering her mouth. Lucas followed. Reporters shouted, Sienna, did Vivian take the necklace? Lucas, are you still engaged? Vivian, why did you freeze the hospital project? Sienna turned just enough for the cameras to catch her profile. I only want peace. Then she looked at me. Her eyes said something else entirely. I waited until the reporters thinned, then I walked toward the curb where Paul waited. Sienna intercepted me beside a row of black cars, no cameras close enough to hear. That was her mistake. You think you're clever, she said. I opened my phone with my thumb. Keep talking. She glanced at the screen and smiled. Recording me now. God, you really are desperate. Careful, your necklace is still missing. Her face hardened. It isn't missing. I know, you don't know anything. I know you brought it to make me look like a thief if the jealousy story didn't work. For a second, the mask slipped, then she laughed softly. You really think this is about a necklace? No, it's about Lucas. Lucas, she almost looked bored. Lucas is a door. Doors are useful. You open them. You don't worship them. The sentence landed clean. Does he know that? He knows what he wants to know. And what do you want? She stepped closer. Her perfume was softer than Eleanor's, something with pear and white flowers, designed to seem innocent. I want what women like you never understand, she said. Placement, a name people already respect, rooms where no one asks who invited me. Eleanor understands that. Lucas provides it. You were supposed to provide the money and then fade into wifehood. I kept my face still. You planned this with Eleanor. Sienna smiled. Eleanor planned a lot of things. I improved the optics, the reaction video, insurance, the wine, opportunity, the necklace complaint. She tilted her head. A mistake, apparently. Lucas, her smile thinned. Lucas likes being wanted. I wanted loudly. You loved quietly. Quiet loses. I looked past her to Lucas, who stood near the station steps speaking to Patrice. He had not noticed us yet. Maybe, I said. But quiet records. Her eyes dropped to my phone for the first time. Sienna Blake looked afraid. I saved the recording before she could lunge for it. She did not lunge. She was too smart for cameras. Instead she leaned in and whispered, release it, and I will make sure every donor thinks you destroyed a hospital because your fiancé loved someone else. Did he, that caught her, love you? I asked. Her face changed. There it was, the wound under the ambition. For all her strategy, Sienna still wanted the one thing Lucas gave no one fully, his loyalty. He came to me, she said, while he was engaged to me. He said you understood arrangements. I almost laughed. He told you I knew. He said you cared more about the foundation than romance. That sounded like Lucas. Not exactly a lie. Worse, a selfish translation. I walked away. Vivian, she called. I turned. She lifted her chin. He will never choose a woman who makes him feel poor. No, I said. He chose women who made him feel rich. There's a difference. At the foundation, Andre had more records. The Riverside property is owned by Vale Riverside Holdings, he said. Lucas is managing member. The bridge loan used projected Hart disbursement as comfort. Your alleged guarantor approval strengthened the credit package. Where does the money go, officially? Property stabilization, unofficially. He clicked to a spreadsheet. Debt service, private event expenses, consulting payments. To whom? Andre highlighted a line. Blake Strategic Communications, Sienna's company. I sat back. Eleanor had not merely tolerated Sienna. Vale money had been paying her. Marisol reviewed the file. This gives motive for the smear campaign. My phone buzzed. Nora, I answered. MS. Hart, she said, voice low. I found the AV drive. What is on it? You need to see it. An hour later, I met her at Hawthorne Grand, not in the ballroom, in the security office behind the loading dock, where the walls were covered with camera feeds and the air smelled like dust and warm electronics, Nora looked nervous. "Before I show you," she said, "I need you to know something, Mrs. Vale's assistant came here this morning asking whether last night's raw files had been permanently purged. I told her no." "Did she threaten you?" "Not directly. She said the hotel relies on families like the Vales. Families like the Vales rely on people being scared." Nora gave a small, humorless smile. "That's why I called you." She played the file Vivian_reaction_final MP4. It began with a soft focus photo of Lucas and me from the proposal. Then it cut to older pictures of Lucas and Sienna in college, laughing, dancing, young. Then a title card, "Some loves begin before the world is ready." My stomach turned. Nora looked horrified. "This was scheduled after Eleanor's toast," I said. The video continued. More Lucas and Sienna, a clip of him hugging her after some charity run, a quote about second chances, then a final slide. "Thank you, Vivian, for understanding that family is bigger than pride." Nora whispered, "Oh my God, it was not a reaction video. It was a replacement announcement." They had planned to publicly frame my humiliation as grace. Sienna would be presented as Lucas's meaningful past. I would be expected to smile, absorb the insult, and keep the money flowing because leaving would make me look petty. Then, when I did not play along, the wine, the slaps, and the smear plan became backup. My phone felt heavy in my hand. "Can you export this?" I asked. "Already did." She handed me a flash drive. "There is audio too," she said, "from the west corridor before the party." She clicked another file. Sienna's voice came first. "She won't explode unless Lucas lets me get close." Then Eleanor, "Make her uncomfortable, not dramatic. We need her emotional enough to sign the family statement tomorrow." Sienna laughed. "Trust me, quiet women always have a breaking point." Lucas's voice entered. Lower, "No one touches Vivian." My breath caught. Then Eleanor replied, "Don't be sentimental, she will forgive you. She always does." Lucas said nothing. Sienna said, "Exactly." Nora stopped the audio. The room hummed. I stared at the frozen screen. Lucas had drawn one line, "No one touches Vivian." Then he had watched his mother cross it twice. That was the shape of him, not pure monster, not helpless son. A man with a boundary too weak to protect anyone when it cost him comfort. I took the flash drive. "Thank you," I said. Nora nodded. "There's more. The hotel owner wants to avoid scandal. He may cooperate with the Vales if pressured." Then we move fast. As I left the security office, my phone lit up with Lucas's public post. "I made mistakes last night by trying to protect everyone at once. I will always care for Vivian, but I cannot support actions that harm innocent patients and friends. I ask people to stop attacking Sienna, who has shown nothing but grace." Under it was a photo, Lucas and Sienna outside the police station, his hand on her shoulder again. This time, the pain was almost clean. Marisol called. "I saw it," she said. "I have the AV drive." "Good. We can use it." "Not yet." Marisol paused. "What are you thinking? They want a public story. We let them build it tall enough to fall." Lucas's post changed the game. By noon, board members who had privately supported me started receiving donor calls. Journalists requested comment. A daytime talk show producer emailed the foundation asking whether I would like to share my side of the viral engagement drama. A gossip account posted a poll asking if I was a heartbroken fiancé or a ruthless heiress. Ruthless heiress won by 12%. I was not an heiress. Not in the way they meant. My mother had built her foundation by selling a medical software company she had created after watching her sister lose insurance coverage during cancer treatment. She had not inherited anything except debt and fury, but the internet liked cleaner boxes. Sienna was the soft old love. Lucas was the torn man. I was the cold woman with the money. Eleanor was the dignified mother who lost composure under stress. The slap had become composure. Language could be a second assault at 3. I sat in Marisol's office while she pinned printed evidence across a glass wall. She had categories: assault, manipulation, fraud, smear, financial motive. Under financial motive, Sienna's company payments sat beside the Riverside loan documents. Under smear, Lucas's posts connected to Sienna's PR memo. Under manipulation, the AV video hung like a loaded gun. We can file for injunctive relief against defamatory statements. Marisol said. We can send preservation demands to everyone, we can prepare civil claims, but public opinion is moving faster than court. I know. Do you want to release the slap footage, not alone? She nodded. Because alone it looks like an emotional counterpunch. I want the full structure, the planned video, the deletion request, the forged signature, the dinner recording, the corridor audio. That is a lot for the public. It isn't for the public first, it's for the room that matters. Marisol's eyes narrowed. Which room? Before I could answer, her assistant stepped in. Ms. Hart, Sienna Blake is downstairs. She says she wants to speak with you without lawyers. Marisol's expression became almost cheerful. Absolutely not. Let her up, I said. Vivian, into the conference room, cameras on. You stay in the adjacent office with audio. Marisol sighed. One day a client will listen to me and I will die of shock. Sienna entered 10 minutes later wearing cream cashmere, no visible jewelry, and a face arranged into fragile sincerity. She looked around Marisol's office. Intimidating. Honest, I said. Everything here is recorded. Her smile flickered. Of course. It is. We sat across from each other at a long table. I placed my phone between us. Screen up, Sienna noticed. Do you record all your conversations now? Only the ones with people who file false police complaints. She inhaled. I came to apologize for that. Go ahead. Her eyes hardened for one beat. She had expected more ceremony. I'm sorry, she said. I was confused. The night was overwhelming. I should have checked with my driver before speaking to the police. That is not an apology. That is a weather report. Her mouth tightened. Fine. I am sorry I said you might have taken the necklace. Better. I never meant to hurt you. Worse. She leaned back. You know, Lucas said you were hard to comfort when you decided to be cold. There it was. The needle. Lucas says many things when he wants two women to manage one conscience. Her eyes flashed. Why are you here? Sienna, she looked toward the glass wall, where Marisol had not hidden the evidence categories. Her gaze paused on Sienna company payments. Because this can still end quietly, she said. For whom? For everyone. Everyone usually means Lucas. And you, she said quickly, you can walk away with dignity. Say the engagement ended because of pressure. Let the medical project continue. Don't drag a family through the mud, a family that paid your company. I earned that contract by staging my breakdown. Her jaw flexed. You keep using that word, staging, as if you had no agency. Agency. I almost admired her nerve. You are right, I said. I had agency. I used it when I froze the money. Her face changed. That project cannot stay frozen. Why? Because patients need it. Try again. She looked away. I waited. The silence worked on her. Sienna liked movement. She liked shaping rooms. Stillness made her reveal the tools in her hands. Because if the bridge loan defaults, Lucas loses everything, she said. Everything. The property, the donors, his father's confidence, Eleanor's board seat. The family name becomes a joke, and you lose your door. Her eyes returned to mine. You heard that. I hear many things. She smiled without warmth. You think I am worse than you because I admit what I want. No, I think you're worse because you set fires and call them lighting. Beautiful line. Did your lawyer write it? My mother would have, for the first time. Sienna looked uncomfortable. Good, she had learned how to fight women who wanted a man. She did not know how to fight a dead mother who had taught her daughter to read balance sheets. Sienna leaned forward. Lucas will hate you if you ruin his family. He already resented me for seeing it. That isn't true. It is. He loved me best when I made his life easier. She laughed softly. And you loved him because he made you feel chosen. That landed. I did not let it show. But it landed. Sienna saw enough. Her expression softened with real cruelty. You were so grateful, she said. Everyone could see it. The way you watched him at dinners, like he had given you a country to live in. Eleanor hated it. You know, she said need makes women tasteless. My fingers curled under the table. Sienna smiled. There she is. I looked at the phone between us. Still recording. No, I said. There you are. Her smile vanished. I stood. Thank you for coming. She stood too. If you release anything about me, I will say you threatened me. You already tried that. I will say you offered me money to leave Lucas. Did I? No, but stories depend on who tells them first. Lucas taught me that. My chest went cold, not because she threatened me, because she had used his exact sentence from the night of the slaps. Stories still depend on who tells them first. He had given both of us the same handbook. Sienna walked to the door, then turned. He came to my apartment last night. I said nothing. He was upset. He cried. He said you were destroying the best parts of him. The old Vivian might have broken. The new Vivian only asked, did he mention the forged signature? Her face tightened. No. I picked up my phone. Then he wasn't crying about the best parts. She left. Marisol entered 5 seconds later. I despise her, but she is useful. She said Lucas used the same line. I heard. What do we do with that? Pattern. My phone buzzed before Marisol could say more. Nora MS. Heart. Vale team just asked to book Hawthorne Grand for Friday. Press event. Theme. Reconciliation and recommitment to women's health. I stared at the message. Friday was 3 days away. Room, I typed. Ballroom A. The same room, of course. They wanted to return to the scene of the slap and repaint it before the stain set permanently. Eleanor understood theater. Lucas understood sympathy. Sienna understood cameras. Marisol read the message and smiled slowly. Well, she said, they are handing you the room. Not yet. At 5, Andre called us to the foundation. The board is nervous, he said as we entered his office. Thomas wants a controlled statement before Friday. Controlled. By whom? He grimaced. That is the question. On his screen was an email from Thomas. Vivian, while we support the investigation, we cannot allow Heart Foundation to appear driven by personal conflict. Please consider a temporary reconciliation statement to stabilize patient and donor confidence. I read it twice, then I looked through the glass wall at the staff moving through the office my mother built. People who came to work each day because help should never require humiliation. Schedule an emergency board session, I said. Andre hesitated. Tonight? Yes. Marisol watched me. What are you planning? To stop asking frightened people for courage they don't have. That evening, I stood before the board with my bruised cheek uncovered and the edited viral clip paused on the screen behind me. I will not release a false reconciliation statement, I said. I will not restore funds to a compromised partner. I will not allow Heart Foundation to be used as a veil for assault, forgery, or reputational manipulation. If the board believes I am too personally involved to manage this investigation, you may vote to remove me from the matter. Thomas looked startled. Vivian, no one said remove. No, you said stabilize. People often use soft words when they want a woman to swallow hard things. Gwen, on video, grinned like a proud wolf. Priya leaned forward. What do you need? Formal authority to redirect the project if Vale access remains suspended. Public statement limited to facts. No emotional defense. No apology. No recommitment. Thomas rubbed his temple. The donors may panic. Let them. Panic is not fatal. Fraud can be. Priya said. I vote yes. One by one. The others followed. Thomas was last. He looked at the paused image of me in the viral clip. Cold and cropped and stripped of context. Then he looked at my face. Yes, he said quietly. That was Sienna's first real loss. Not the necklace. Not the police complaint. Those were skirmishes. This was her narrative. Failing to make me perform. The next morning, Heart Foundation released a statement. Heart Foundation has suspended disbursement to Vale-affiliated entities pending review of documented concerns involving event misconduct, attempted record deletion, and financial authorization irregularities. The Foundation remains committed to the underlying medical project and is evaluating alternate partners. No adjectives, no feelings, no apology. Within 20 minutes, Lucas called. I did not answer. He texted, you are making it impossible for me to protect you. I replied, you were never protecting me. You were protecting the version of me that protected you. He did not respond. At noon, Nora sent another message. The Friday press event is confirmed. Mrs. Vale requested the original engagement party floral design. I looked at the screen. Same room, same flowers, same family, same story, rewritten. This time, I would bring the ending. Not crying cost more than I expected. People forgave. Tears faster than boundaries. Tears told them you were suffering in a shape they recognized. Boundaries made them wonder what you might take away from them too. By Thursday morning, the internet had opinions about my face, my money, my mother, my uterus, my motives, and my silence. A finance blogger called me a cautionary tale about emotional governance. A lifestyle columnist wrote that women in powerful families should learn the difference between dignity and escalation. 3 anonymous sources told a gossip page that Lucas had been walking on eggshells around me. For months, the phrase walking on eggshells appeared in Sienna's crisis memo. Marisol highlighted it in yellow. She's feeding lines, she said. I know. Do you want to sue now? Not before Friday. You are developing a dangerous relationship with timing. Timing is all they left me. At noon, I went to my mother's old apartment, not the penthouse, not the foundation, the apartment in Brooklyn where she had lived before the company sale, before donors and boards and plaques. I kept it because selling it felt like erasing the part of her that had fought before she had money. The building hallway smelled like garlic, dust, and someone's laundry. The apartment was small, warm, and stubborn. Books leaned in crooked shelves. A yellow kettle sat on the stove. Her desk faced a window overlooking a brick wall and a strip of sky. Gwen met me there with a paper bag of bagels. You look like you haven't eaten since the slap, she said. I had coffee. Coffee is not food, it is panic water. I took the bagel. We sat on the floor because the table was covered in archival boxes. Gwen had pulled them from the closet before I arrived. Your mother kept everything, she said. She said memory needed receipts. She was right. We sorted for 2 hours, old project notes, letters from women the foundation helped, early financial models, photos of my mother in cheap suits standing outside hospitals with people who looked tired and hopeful. Then I found the envelope. Vivian, if Vale ever returns. My name in my mother's handwriting. The room tilted slightly. Gwen went still. Open it, she said softly. Inside was a letter and a copy of the old Vale Foundation memorandum. My dearest Viv, if you are reading this, it means the Vale family has found their way back into our work. Maybe I am being unfair, maybe time has changed them, but I want you to remember something I learned late and paid for heavily. Some families do not steal by grabbing, they invite you in, praise your generosity, and convince you that saying no would make you cruel. Eleanor Vale is one of the most elegant takers I ever met. If she has changed, judge her by transparency. If she has not, judge yourself by how quickly you walk away. Do not let my name be used to keep you in a room where you are being diminished. Love is not proven by enduring humiliation. I read it once, then again. My mother had never met Sienna. She had never seen Lucas stand still while Eleanor hit me. She had never known the ring, the ballroom, the viral clip, but she had known the pattern. Gwen wiped her eyes with the heel of her hand and pretended not to. She knew you, she said. No, she knew them, both. I folded the letter carefully. Something settled in me. Until that moment, part of me had still feared I was betraying my mother's project by freezing the Vale funds. Eleanor had chosen that fear because it was old and deep. Now my mother had answered from a 4-year-old envelope. Walk away quickly at 4, Andre called. We have a problem. I closed my eyes. Which category? Board pressure. Thomas received calls from 2 major donors. They are worried the foundation is entering a public war with Vale. Who called them? We don't know. But the phrasing is familiar. Emotional governance, personal vendetta, patient harm. Sienna again. Schedule me with Thomas. He's asking you not to attend Friday. I stood. Gwen looked up. He what? Andre sounded miserable. He thinks your presence may inflame the event. The event designed to rewrite my assault. Yes, I almost laughed. There were so many ways to ask a woman to disappear, for peace, for optics, for the project, for her own good. This one wore a board chair's voice. Tell Thomas the first will attend, I said. As controlling trustee. Andre hesitated. He may object. Then he can do it on record. At 6, I met Thomas in the foundation conference room. He looked tired. I almost felt sorry for him. Vivian, he said, you know I respect you. That is rarely a promising opening, he sighed. The Vale event tomorrow is being positioned as a recommitment to the medical center. If you attend, the press will make it about the engagement. It is about the engagement. It is about a public health project. It is about a family using a public health project to cover abuse and irregularities. His mouth tightened. We do not have final proof of fraud. We have a forged signature. We have a questionable signature. Thomas, he looked away. I leaned forward. When my mother appointed me trustee, people said she was too emotional because she built health projects after losing her sister. They said grief made her biased, then they cashed her checks. Now Lucas says my grief makes me unstable. Sienna says my silence makes me cold. Eleanor says my refusal makes me cruel. And you are telling me my presence makes me inflammatory. His face flushed. I am not your enemy, he said. Then stop asking me to make myself smaller for people who are. He sat back for a long moment. Neither of us spoke. Then he said, what will you do tomorrow? Tell the truth if they lie. That could damage the foundation. No, it will damage the people hiding behind it. He rubbed his eyes. You are very much Margaret's daughter. For once, it did not feel like a burden. Yes, I said, I am. That evening, I went back to the penthouse to pack Lucas's things, not because he deserved the care, but because I deserved the space. Gwen came with me. She brought industrial trash bags and a bottle of wine she said was for courage or celebration. Depending on how the evening behaves, we packed his suits, watches, books he had never opened, tennis rackets, 3 drawers of cufflinks, and a framed photo of him with Sienna at a charity regatta that he had once told me was just old history. Gwen held up the photo. Old history has excellent cheekbones. Put it in the box, in the back of his closet, behind garment bags. I found a small black case. Inside were wedding bands, not the ones I had chosen with the jeweler. 2 different rings, his, plain platinum, hers, a delicate oval diamond band that matched Sienna's style exactly. The receipt was dated 2 weeks before the engagement party. Gwen went very still. Viv, I picked up the receipt, purchased by Lucas Vale, engraving requested L&S. My hands did not shake. That was the strangest part. I had reached a place beyond surprise. Gwen took the rings from me and placed them on the dresser as if they were evidence in a murder. That man planned a second bride. Before ending the first engagement. No, I said, he planned to keep the first bride's money and give the second bride the romance. My phone buzzed. Lucas, I answered on speaker. Are you in the apartment? He asked. Yes. Why did I get a notice from building security that my access is suspended? Because your access is suspended, Vivian. This is insane. Good evening to you too. I need my things. They'll be sent to your office. I am not a guest in our life. You made me one at my own engagement party. He made a low sound. I was trying to prevent a scene. Your mother was the scene. Sienna is being attacked online because of you. Sienna filed a false police complaint because of herself. You don't know what she's been through. Gwen mouthed, unbelievable. I looked at the rings on the dresser. I found them. I said, silence. What? The wedding bands, L and S. Another silence. This one had no performance in it. Vivian, when were you going to tell me? It's not what you think. That sentence should be retired from human speech. It had never once improved the truth. What is it? Then, he breathed hard. I was confused. You engraved confusion. I thought you and I were becoming more partnership than marriage. Funny, you never stopped spending like a husband. That's not fair. No. The engraving was. His voice cracked. I didn't know how to end things without destroying the project. There it was again, the project, the money, the structure of his cowardice. So you decided not to end things, I said. You decided to replace me slowly enough that my funding stayed attached. I didn't want to hurt you. You wanted to use me without feeling like a man who uses women. He said nothing. I picked up the rings and photographed them. Don't come tomorrow, he said suddenly. Why? Because my mother is going to make a statement, about me, about family, about healing. Will Sienna be there? He hesitated. I laughed softly. Of course, Viv. If you come, there will be no going back. I looked at the packed boxes, the second wedding bands, the empty space forming in my closet. Lucas, I said, there was no going back after the first slap. The second was just clarification. I ended the call. Gwen opened the wine. We drank from coffee mugs on the kitchen floor surrounded by boxes of a life I was no longer willing to carry. At midnight, Nora sent me the finalized event schedule for Friday 6:00 p.m. Guest arrival 6:30 p.m. Eleanor remarks. 6:42 p.m. Lucas remarks. 6:48 p.m. Sienna Blake remarks on healing and women's solidarity. 6:55 p.m. Vivian Hart statement. Draft to be provided by Vale PR. I read the last line 3 times. They had written me into the show. They still thought I would read their words. Friday afternoon. The Hawthorne Grand looked exactly as it had the night Eleanor slapped me. That was intentional. The same white orchids hung from the balcony rails, the same gold chairs faced the stage, the same champagne towers glittered near the ballroom doors. Even the lighting had been matched to the engagement party, warm and flattering, designed to make everyone look softer than they were. I stood in the backstage corridor wearing a black suit and no jewelry except my mother's small gold watch. Nora met me by the service entrance. She looked nervous but steady. "Everything is set," she said. "Show me." She handed me a tablet with the event control layout. Veil PR had provided 3 video packages, 1 donor highlight reel, 1 hospital rendering, 1 reconciliation montage. Reconciliation montage? I asked. Nora's mouth tightened. I previewed it, and it includes photos of you and Lucas, then a quote about forgiveness over pride. I stared at the file name, healing_final_approved MP4. They love naming my emotions before I have them, I said. Nora gave a small, sharp smile. I also loaded the files your attorney provided into a locked backup folder. They cannot be accessed from the main AV station unless I switch control. Can Veil PR override? No. The hotel owner tried to ask me that this morning. Did he pressure you? He suggested cooperation would be good for my career. What did you say? That so would not being named in an evidence suppression complaint. I looked at her with real admiration. Nora. She shrugged. I have worked events for rich people for 20 years. I know the difference between privacy and a cover-up. I touched her arm. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. They changed the program. She showed me the updated schedule. 6:55 p.m. Vivian Hart statement. 6:56 p.m. Joint signing ceremony. I frowned. Signing what? Veil PR said it was a symbolic recommitment. Did they send a document? No, Malcolm Crane has it. Of course he did. I called Marisol, who was already in the lobby with Gwen and Andre. They added a signing ceremony. I said. Marisol swore. Do not touch any pen. I wasn't planning to. Where is Malcolm? Backstage somewhere. I'll find him. Before I could answer, Lucas appeared at the end of the corridor. He wore a navy suit, no tie, the expression of a man who had not slept and blamed someone else for the mattress. He stopped when he saw me for a second. Neither of us moved. He looked at my black suit, my empty hand, the fading bruise on my cheek. You came, he said. You invited me. My mother invited you. She also wrote me a statement. His eyes flicked away. So you knew? I knew she wanted to give you a chance to lower the temperature. No, she wanted to hand me a script and call it healing. He stepped closer. Vivian, listen to me. There are things happening you don't understand. That has been true for one of us. Yes, his mouth tightened. The Riverside property is leveraged. My father is furious. My mother may lose her chair. If tonight goes badly, it doesn't just hurt me. Then why continue? Because we need donor confidence. You need donor confusion. He ran a hand through his hair. I am trying to protect what's left of the project, of us. I almost felt tired enough to pity him. There is no us. His eyes shone. Don't say that here. Why? Does it sound worse under the chandelier? He looked toward the ballroom doors. Guests were arriving. Laughter drifted in. Cameras clicked. After tonight, he said, voice low, we can end the engagement quietly if that's what you want. The words moved through me slowly, quietly. He wanted one last performance, one last smile, one last use of my name to stabilize his family, and then he would allow me to leave. It was impressive, the arrogance of calling a cage an exit. What happens to Sienna after tonight? I asked. His face changed. She is leaving the communications role. Leaving you. He looked pained. This is not about her. It has always been about who you protect when no one is forcing you. I protected you for years. No, you protected your access to me. He stepped closer, desperate now. I loved you, maybe, in the way some people love a house they never repair because they assume it will always shelter them. That hit him hard. Good, a voice came from behind him, poetic, but unhelpful. Eleanor. She stood in the corridor in a silver dress, pearls perfect, face composed, up close. I could see the strain around her mouth. My cheek pulsed once, as if memory had a nerve. Eleanor, I said. Her eyes moved over my suit. Black is a choice, so were your hands. Lucas said. Mom. Eleanor ignored him. Tonight is not for private grievances. Then you picked a strange room. Her jaw tightened. This room is full of people who care about the medical center, and people who watched you hit me. People saw an unfortunate family conflict. People saw what you let them see. Her eyes flicked to Nora, then back to me. Be careful, Vivian. Once dignity is lost in public, it is difficult to recover. I smiled. You'll know soon. For the first time, fear broke through her composure. Then Malcolm Crane appeared with his leather folio. MS. Heart, he said. Good, we should review your remarks. No, he paused. Excuse me. I won't review words I didn't write. Eleanor's voice sharpened. Vivian. I turned to Malcolm. What is the signing ceremony? A non-binding memorandum of shared commitment. Send it to Marisol. It's ceremonial. Then it can wait. His eyes flattened. You are determined to make this difficult. No, I am determined not to be tricked in a hallway. Lucas looked at Malcolm. What is in it? Interesting. Malcolm's face did not move. Standard language. Show me, Lucas said. Eleanor snapped. Lucas, not now. That told me the document mattered. Marisol arrived then, heels sharp on the corridor floor, Gwen beside her like a storm in human form. Malcolm, Marisol said brightly. I heard there is a document you forgot to send opposing counsel. How nostalgic. Malcolm's lips thinned. Gwen looked Eleanor up and down. You must be the woman who hits people under chandeliers. Eleanor went rigid. And you are the sister of the dead woman whose name you keep putting in your mouth. Silence. Lucas looked at Gwen with shame. Eleanor looked at her like she had found an unexpected witness at a funeral. Gwen stepped closer. Margaret wrote about you. Eleanor. Eleanor's face changed. Oh yes, Gwen said. She had your number before Vivian ever had your son. Marisol touched Gwen's arm. Save it for the room. At 6:20, guests filled the ballroom. Donors, reporters, board members, Vale relatives, hospital administrators, social friends, who enjoyed crisis as long as it came with champagne. Sienna stood near the front in white, not cream, not pale blue, white, a deliberate bridal white suit, tailored close to her body, hair soft around her shoulders. She looked like healing if healing came with a stylist and a strategy deck. When she saw me, she smiled. I smiled back. At 6:30, Eleanor took the stage. The ballroom quieted. Ladies and gentlemen, she began, voice warm and smooth. Thank you for joining us on short notice. The past few days have been painful for our family and for everyone who believes in the Vale Medical Center project. Our family. I stood beside Marisol near the right wall, not backstage where they wanted me. Eleanor continued. Public life can distort private pain. Moments of stress can be clipped, misread, and weaponized. Tonight, we choose healing. A murmur of approval moved through the room. She was good. I had to give her that. She could wrap a bruise in silk and make donors applaud the fabric. Lucas spoke next. He looked out at the room, then at me. I have made mistakes, he said. I tried to protect too many people and ended up hurting the woman I love. A few heads turned toward me. I am sorry for my part in that pain, he continued. But I also believe love is not proven by punishment. It is proven by choosing the future over pride. Gwen muttered. I may throw a chair. Marisol whispered. Not billable. Sienna took the stage at 6:48. Her voice trembled perfectly. I never wanted to stand between anyone, she said. Women are too often set against one another by grief, insecurity, and public judgment. I hope tonight we can model grace. Grace again. The word had become a glove over a fist. Then Eleanor returned to the microphone. Vivian, she said, looking directly at me. We invite you to join us. Every camera turned. The teleprompter at the back of the room lit up with words I had never written. I regret my role in the misunderstanding. I remain committed to family. I choose healing. I walked to the stage slowly, not because I was afraid, because every step deserved to be seen. Lucas held out his hand to help me onto the stage. I did not take it. A few guests noticed. The microphone waited at center stage. The chandelier above me glittered with the same cold light as the night of the slaps. The cocktail table where I had left the ring had been removed. The carpet had probably been cleaned. The orchids had been replaced. But the room remembered. So did I. I looked at the teleprompter, then at Eleanor, then at Lucas, then at Sienna. I won't be reading that, I said. A ripple moved through the room. Eleanor's smile froze. Lucas whispered, Vivian, I looked toward Nora in the AV booth. She put one hand on the switch. I turned back to the microphone. Before anyone asks me to choose healing, I think this room deserves to know what wound we are discussing. At first, nobody understood. That was the power of polite rooms. People could hear a clear sentence and still wait for permission to believe it. Eleanor recovered first. Vivian, she said with a soft laugh meant for the audience, of course, we all want honesty, but perhaps this is better handled privately. I looked at her. That was what you said after you slapped me. The room went still. Lucas closed his eyes. Sienna's face hardened so quickly the cameras almost missed it. Eleanor's smile remained, but only because she had spent a lifetime training the muscles. This is not the time. This is the same room. A whisper moved through the guests. I turned slightly toward the AV booth. Nora. The screens behind me changed. For 1 second they went black. Then the ballroom appeared on the screens. Not tonight's ballroom. The engagement party ballroom. Same flowers. Same gold chairs. Same chandelier. The timestamp glowed in the corner. 7:38 p.m. The room watched Sienna step toward me with a full glass of red wine. They watched her glance toward a camera. They watched Lucas's hand rest on her lower back. They watched Sienna shift her foot into my path and tip the wine against her own dress. A soft gasp traveled through the audience on the screen. Sienna looked wounded. I looked cold. The viral clip had begun there, but this time, the video did not cut. They watched me step back. They watched Sienna grip her necklace and say something the room audio caught clearly enough. Vivian, please don't make this about jealousy. A few guests turned toward the real Sienna. Her face had gone white under the stage lights. The footage continued. Eleanor entered the frame, apologized to Sienna. Screen. Eleanor said. My recorded voice answered. I didn't touch her necklace. Then the first slap came. The sound filled the ballroom through the speakers. Somebody in the front row flinched. I did not look at the screen. I looked at Eleanor. Her face had lost every drop of color on the screen. I stood still. Eleanor demanded again. Lucas said, Vivian, don't make this worse. Then the second slap landed. This time, the room did not gasp. It went silent in a deeper way. The silence of people being forced to recognize that they had attended the cleanup, not the event. I let the footage run until I removed the ring and placed it on the cocktail table. Then I nodded to Nora. The screen froze on the ring. I turned to the audience. That is the moment Mr. Vale later described as me acting from grief and pressure. Lucas stepped toward the microphone. Vivian, I never denied that my mother was wrong. I turned to him. You denied me protection before you denied anything publicly. His face twisted. I was trying to de-escalate by telling the woman who was hit to apologize to the woman who staged it. Sienna snapped. I did not stage anything. I looked at Nora again. The screen changed. Now the West Corridor audio played over a still image of the ballroom. Sienna's voice filled the room. She won't explode unless Lucas lets me get close. Then Eleanor, make her uncomfortable, not dramatic. We need her emotional enough to sign the family statement tomorrow. Then Lucas, no one touches Vivian. For 1 painful second, people looked at him with something like sympathy. Then Eleanor's voice answered, don't be sentimental, she will forgive you, she always does. Lucas lowered his head. Sienna's recorded laugh came next. Exactly. The room turned on them, not loudly, not yet, but bodies shifted, chairs creaked, donors leaned away, reporters bent over phones, a hospital administrator in the second row covered her mouth. I looked at Lucas. You knew enough to say no one should touch me, I said. Then you watched, he whispered. I didn't know my mother would actually raise her hand. She raised it twice. Eleanor moved toward the microphone. This is edited. Nora's voice came from the AV booth, clear and steady. It is the raw security file exported from Hawthorne Grand's system with timestamp and chain of custody preserved. Every head turned. The hotel owner, seated near the aisle, looked like he might melt into the carpet. Marisol stood from her seat. Additional copies have been provided to counsel. Eleanor's eyes flashed murder at Nora, but the room saw it. I continued before Eleanor could find another lie. After I left the ballroom, someone using Sienna Blake's event media credentials requested deletion of the footage you just saw. The screen changed to the deletion request log. User, Sienna Blake. Action requested. Purge clip package. Reason, client privacy correction. Sienna stepped forward. My assistant did that. I looked at the screen. You told the police you didn't have an assistant, a reporter said. Ms. Blake, can you clarify? Sienna's mouth opened, nothing came out. I almost admired the symmetry. She had wanted me voiceless in this room. Now silence fit her better. Eleanor grabbed the second microphone. This is a personal dispute being weaponized against a life-saving medical project. I had expected that. Nora, I said. The screen changed again. The forged guarantor approval appeared. My name enlarged at the bottom. A murmur rose. This document was submitted through Malcolm Crane's office in support of a bridge loan tied to Vale-affiliated assets. I said, the signature is not mine. Malcolm Crane stood. That allegation is outrageous and unproven. Marisol's voice cut across the room. A forensic document examiner has completed a preliminary review. Formal report pending. Also, Mr. Crane, your office uploaded the metadata-altered file at 2:14 p.m. on the date shown. Malcolm sat down slowly. Richard Vale stood in the front row. He looked at Lucas, then Eleanor. What is that document? He demanded. Eleanor hissed. Richard, not now. No, he said, now. The room watched a family begin to split in public. Lucas looked trapped. Dad, I can explain. That sentence never meant anything good. Richard's face darkened. Did you use her name? I didn't sign it. Did you know? Lucas looked at me. I understood then. He wanted me to save him from answering. Even now, even on stage, even after all this, I did not. Richard repeated. Did you? No. Lucas swallowed. I knew there was supplemental support paperwork. Eleanor closed her eyes. A donor in the back said, my God. I turned back to the audience. The same people asking me tonight to choose healing drafted a statement for me to sign after the engagement party. It described the assault as a misunderstanding caused by my grief. It restored Vale access to Heart Foundation funds. It included confidentiality language. The screen showed the statement from Malcolm's dinner folio. I regret my role in the misunderstanding. The exact words now on the teleprompter. Guests turned toward the glowing teleprompter at the back of the room, still displaying the apology they had written for me for the first time. The room saw the machinery. Sienna said, voice shaking, you're destroying Lucas because he didn't love you enough. A strange calm moved through me. No, I said, I am leaving Lucas because he loved comfort more than truth. Lucas flinched as if I had struck him. Good words could be mirrors too. Eleanor tried one more time. She stepped close enough that the microphones caught her whisper. Vivian, if you do this, the patients suffer. I turned toward the audience. The medical project is not cancelled. Heart Foundation has already voted to redirect it away from Vale-affiliated entities while preserving funding for women's recovery care. The screen showed the board resolution. Priya Shah stood in the second row. As a Heart Foundation board member, I confirm this. Thomas Keane rose slowly beside her. His face was tight but resolved. I also confirm, he said. The project will continue under independent review. Eleanor stared at him with pure betrayal. That was when the first real public cost landed. Not the money, not the legal risk, the loss of borrowed virtue. For years, Eleanor had worn charitable language like couture. Now the charity stepped away and left her standing in her own choices. A reporter raised her hand. Mrs. Vale, did you strike Ms. Hart twice? Eleanor's mouth opened. A second reporter asked, Mr. Vale, why did your statement omit the assault? A third called, Ms. Blake, did you coordinate with Vale PR before the wine incident? Sienna stepped back. Lucas moved toward me. Vivian, please stop this. Stop what? Please. The microphone caught it. The room heard him beg. Not for me, for the collapse to stop before it reached the foundation under his feet. I looked at him. 1 hour after your mother slapped me, she asked me for mercy because the money froze. I said, tonight you're asking for the same thing because the truth did. His eyes filled. I am sorry, he whispered. I believed he was. I also knew sorry could arrive too late to be useful. Behind the ballroom doors, 2 men and 1 woman entered with badges clipped to their jackets. Marisol saw them first, then Malcolm, then Eleanor. The woman in front approached the stage. Mrs. Eleanor Vale, Mr. Lucas Vale, Malcolm Crane, she said. I'm investigator Dana Whitcomb with the Attorney General's Charities Bureau. We need to speak with you regarding records preservation and financial authorization irregularities. The room erupted, cameras flashed, donors stood. Sienna tried to move toward the side exit, but Nora spoke into her radio, "Security. Please keep all event principals available." Sienna turned on me then, not soft, not wounded, furious. "You planned this." I looked at her. "No," I said. "You did. I preserved it." The first thing Lucas lost was not money, it was the room I watched. It happened in real time. Donors who had hugged Eleanor on arrival now avoided her eyes. Hospital administrators stepped into corners to make calls. Reporters surrounded Sienna until her lawyer physically guided her away. Richard Vale stood in the aisle, staring at his wife and son with the expression of a man discovering the foundation under his house was hollow. Lucas remained near the stage. He looked at me as if I had become someone else. That was not true. I had become someone he could no longer use. Investigator Whitcomb did not arrest anyone. Public rooms love dramatic endings, but law moves in folders, notices, and sealed requests. She served preservation demands and requested voluntary interviews. Malcolm tried to object. Marisol smiled like she had been waiting all week to watch him bleed professionalism. "Mr. Crane," Investigator Whitcomb said, "your office uploaded the document in question. I would advise cooperation." His face went grey. Eleanor recovered enough to speak. "This is outrageous. The Attorney General's office does not get summoned to charity events by emotional vendettas." Whitcomb looked at my bruise, then at the frozen screen showing the forged signature. "No," she said, "we respond to documented complaints." That sentence was small and perfect. Eleanor had built her whole defense on making me emotional. Whitcomb made me documented. Richard turned to Eleanor. "Did you know?" She glared at him. "This is not the place." He laughed once. It was not amused. "That is what you say when the place finally has witnesses." Lucas stepped between them. "Dad, don't." Richard looked at him. "You knew too." Lucas's mouth worked. "I was trying to keep the family from collapsing." "No," Richard said. "You were trying to keep me from seeing it had." I almost looked away. Family pain, even deserved, had edges, but I made myself watch for 3 years. The Vale family had made me watch my own diminishment at their table. I would not turn away because their own knives had finally faced inward. Sienna approached Lucas, whispering, "We need to leave." He looked at her, really looked, maybe for the first time since she came back. "Did you plan the wine?" he asked. Her face flickered. "Lucas, not here." "Did you?" She touched his arm. "I did it for you." His eyes changed, not because of me, not because she hurt me, because she had made him look foolish in public. That was Lucas's true wound. He pulled his arm away. Sienna saw the shift and panicked. Eleanor knew. Malcolm knew. "Don't put this on me." Eleanor's head snapped toward her. "You little fool." Cameras caught that too. Gwen appeared beside me with a glass of water. "Drink." I took it. My throat felt raw, though I had barely raised my voice. "You okay?" she asked. "No." "Good." Honest answer. Marisol joined us, holding 3 folders. "We are leaving before someone tries to perform remorse at you." As if summoned, Lucas turned. "Vivian." Marisol stepped in front of me. "No." I touched her arm. "It's fine." Lucas came closer slowly, like I was a wild animal or a verdict. His eyes were red. His face had lost its expensive certainty. "I didn't know the video would be like that," he said. "Which one?" He winced. "The one with Sienna, the replacement announcement." His silence answered. My chest tightened. But the pain had nowhere new to go. What was supposed to happen? "Lucas," he swallowed. "My mother thought if the room saw Sienna as part of our story, you would accept her role." "Her role as what?" He rubbed his face. "I don't know." "You do." He looked away. "Say it." His voice dropped. "As someone important to me. While I stood there as your fiancé, I thought you would understand that love can be complicated." "No, you thought I would finance my own humiliation." He flinched. "I was confused." He said, "You were engaged." "I was under pressure. I was under your mother's hand." He closed his eyes. When he opened them, tears stood there. I had once believed Lucas's tears were rare enough to be sacred. Now I knew they arrived when consequences did. "I am sorry," he said. "I am so sorry. I should have left with you. I should have stopped her. I should have told Sienna no. I should have told my mother no." "Yes." The simplicity of my answer seemed to hurt him more than anger would have. "Can we talk tomorrow?" he asked. "Through counsel." "Vivian." "No." He looked at my empty hand. Is there any part of you that still loves me? That was cruel because the honest answer was yes. Love did not evaporate just because respect arrived late. Some part of me still loved the man who had brought soup when my mother was sick, who knew I hated carnations, who once sat on the bathroom floor with me when grief made breathing feel like work. But that man had either been incomplete or temporary. Love was not a court order. It did not require me to return to the place it had been used against me. Yes, I said. Hope flashed across his face. I let it live for 1 second, then I killed it. Cleanly. But I love myself without needing your permission now. He stepped back as if the words had pushed him. Gwen whispered, "Damn." Marisol handed me my coat. "Car is ready." As we crossed the ballroom, Eleanor called my name. I stopped. I should not have, but I did. She stood near the stage with Richard on one side and Investigator Whitcomb on the other. Her pearls were still straight, her face was not. "This will not make you happy," she said. The room quieted again. I turned. "No," I said, "it will make me free. I can build happy from there." Then I left the ballroom. Outside, night air hit my face. The hotel canopy glowed above us. Cameras shouted questions. But Paul had the car ready and hotel security held a path. "Vivian, are you suing the Vales? Are you still engaged? Did Lucas know about the forgery? Was Sienna his mistress?" I stopped at the car door. Marisol murmured, "You do not have to answer." "I know." I faced the cameras. "The engagement is over," I said. "Heart Foundation will continue the medical project without Vale control. Any further legal matters will proceed through proper channels." A reporter asked, "Do you forgive Eleanor Vale?" I thought of the first slap, the second, the word mercy in the service corridor, my mother's letter. "No," I said, "forgiveness is not a requirement for moving on." Then I got into the car. The legal part began before sunrise Saturday. Marisol filed notice of dissolution of engagement-related agreements, withdrawal of shared financial authorizations, and preservation claims tied to assault, defamation, and forged financial documents. Because we were not married, there was no divorce. That made some things cleaner and others uglier. Engagements did not have the same formal endings. People thought that meant they hurt less. They were wrong. A broken engagement was a wedding ghost. Invitations already mailed, dresses fitted, menus chosen, vows drafted by people who no longer deserved them. Every cancellation was a little funeral. At 9, the wedding planner called MS Hart. Should I cancel everything? Everything connected to the Vale wedding? The church? Yes. The rehearsal dinner? Yes. The floral installations? Yes. The harpist? I paused. Pay her cancellation fee, of course. And the deposits? Some are non-refundable. Send me the list. If I paid, I absorb. If Vale ordered additions, bill Vale. There was another pause. Understood. At 10, the first vendor emailed Eleanor for payment. At 10:17, she called me. I did not answer. At 10:22, Lucas texted, "My mother is losing her mind. Can you please not nickel and dime vendors right now?" I replied, "Your mother ordered orchids after she hit me. She can pay for them." He did not respond. By noon, the Vale family group chat began leaking through Richard. Not to me directly. Richard sent Marisol copies because, as he wrote, "I am done being managed, Eleanor." Richard, "Do not cooperate without counsel." Richard, "Counsel got us here." Lucas, "Dad, please Eleanor, this family survives by staying united." Richard, "This family is not united, it is indebted." Sienna, "I should not be in this chat, Eleanor. You should never have been in this family." Lucas, "Mom, stop." Richard, "Lucas, did you buy wedding bands for Sienna?" A long gap. Then Lucas, "It was a mistake." Richard, engraved. Gwen read the messages over my shoulder and let out a low whistle. "Your almost father-in-law has entered the building." I felt no triumph, only exhaustion. At 2, Sienna's company website went offline. At 3, 2 donors publicly paused commitments to Vale Foundation pending investigation. At 4, the hospital issued a statement thanking Heart Foundation for continued support and noting that it would cooperate with independent partner review. That statement mattered. It broke Eleanor's favorite shield. Patients were not being abandoned. Vale control was. On Sunday, Lucas came to the penthouse. He got as far as the lobby because building security had been instructed well. The concierge called me, Mr. Vale says he has personal property not included in the boxes. What property? He says he needs to speak with you about it. No. 5 minutes later, my phone buzzed with a photo, the engagement ring in his palm. He must have retrieved it from Eleanor or the hotel, please. Just 10 minutes. I looked at the diamond. The ring was supposed to symbolize promise. Now it looked like evidence of a contract I had never read carefully enough. I called security. Tell Mr. Vale he can leave the ring with the front desk or keep it. I have no claim to it. The concierge hesitated. He is crying. MS. Heart. I closed my eyes. That still hurt. That doesn't change the instruction. Afterward, I sat on the floor of my bedroom beside the boxes where his things had been and cried for exactly the wrong reasons. Not because I wanted him back, because part of me wished the man crying in the lobby had existed before the woman in the ballroom learned how alone she was. Gwen found me there 20 minutes later. She did not say I was better off. She did not call him trash. She simply sat beside me and handed me a tissue. Your mother cried when she left your father, she said. I turned. What? You were too young to remember. He wasn't cruel like Lucas, just weak in costly ways. Margaret cried for 3 months and still never went back. I thought she never missed him. Of course she missed him. Freedom doesn't erase attachment, it just stops attachment from driving. I leaned my head against the bed. I hate that I still love parts of him. Good, Gwen said. I looked at her. It means you are not rewriting your own heart to make the ending easier. You loved him. He failed that love. Both can be true. That sentence stayed with me longer than any insult. Monday morning, we went to the law office. Lucas was there with his attorney, not Malcolm, a new woman named Elise Grant, which told me Malcolm had become liability instead of shield. Eleanor was not present. Richard was. Sienna was not invited. We sat across a conference table that looked designed to make human emotion feel inefficient. Elise began. Mr. Vale acknowledges the engagement is terminated. Lucas flinched at terminated. I did not. Marisol responded. MS. Hart acknowledges receipt. The terms were practical: return of personal property, separation of household expenses, withdrawal of wedding plans, no contact except through counsel for 30 days, mutual non-disparagement, with exceptions for truthful statements in legal, regulatory, foundation, or investigative contexts. Lucas looked at me when that clause was read. You need an exception to tell the truth about me, he asked. Marisol said. Yes. His attorney touched his arm. He signed first. His hand shook slightly. Then I signed. Vivian Hart, not Vivian Vale, not future Mrs. anything, just the name my mother had given me and the one I had nearly let them soften into usefulness. After the signing, Richard asked to speak with me in the hallway. Marisol looked at me. I nodded. Richard stood beside a window overlooking traffic. He looked smaller without Eleanor beside him. I owe you an apology, he said. Yes. The blunt answer surprised him. Then he nodded. Yes, I told myself Eleanor was difficult because she carried the family. I told myself Lucas was overwhelmed because expectations were high. I told myself you were quiet because you were comfortable. I was quiet because I was trying to be accepted. His face tightened. I know that now. Knowing now doesn't change then. No, it doesn't. He looked down. I am cooperating with the investigation. Good. And I am resigning from the Vale Foundation board until the review is complete. That surprised me. Eleanor, furious. Lucas, lost. I almost asked if he was okay. Habit rose, then fell. Richard saw it. You don't have to worry about him, I know. I wish he had deserved you. That hurt more than I expected. So do I said when I returned to the conference room. Lucas was alone. Marisol had stepped into the hall to take a call. His lawyer had gone to print copies. He looked at me with the desperation of a man realizing procedure had replaced intimacy. Vivian. No, just one thing. I should have left. I stayed. Was any of it real? He asked. I stared at him. The cruelty of that question was not that he asked it. It was that he believed he had earned an answer. Yes, I said. That is why it cost so much. He covered his face. I left before his tears could become another room. I was expected to manage by Wednesday. The stages of consequence had names. Malcolm Crane was placed on leave by his firm pending investigation. Sienna's contract with Vale Foundation was terminated for cause. Eleanor was suspended as chair of the Vale Foundation by emergency board vote. Lucas stepped down from the Riverside project temporarily, which everyone understood meant lenders had stopped taking his calls. The viral clip changed too. The full slap footage had leaked from an unknown source. Not me, not Marisol. Nora suspected a junior AV tech with a conscience and a burner account. This time, the internet built a new woman, calm queen. She took 2 slaps and ended a dynasty. Never mess with the quiet fiancé. I disliked that version too, though it was kinder. Strangers still wanted a character instead of a person, but the tide had turned. Sienna deleted her post about women's healing. Lucas deleted his post about protecting my dignity. Eleanor deleted nothing, because women like Eleanor did not delete. They waited for rooms to forget. I would not let this one forget. On Thursday, Heart Foundation announced a final board session at Hawthorne Grand to approve the redirected medical project. The same hotel, the same ballroom, no orchids this time. My choice. The final board session at Hawthorne Grand began at 10 in the morning, under clear winter light instead of chandelier glow, without orchids, champagne towers, and Sienna's staged softness. Ballroom A looked almost ordinary, a large room with polished floors, rows of chairs, a stage, a screen. People made places holy or cruel by what they allowed inside them. I arrived early. Nora met me at the entrance with coffee. I thought you might want to see it before everyone gets here, she said. Thank you. We stood together in the empty ballroom. I looked toward the place where Eleanor had slapped me. The carpet had no mark. Of course it did not. Rooms recovered faster than people. But I felt different standing there the first night. I had been a bride without witnesses willing to help. Now I was the controlling trustee of Heart Foundation, carrying my mother's letter in my bag, about to sign Vale out of a project they thought they owned. Are you nervous? Nora asked. Yes. Good nervous or bad nervous? Free nervous. She smiled. I don't know that one. Me neither. I'm learning. At 10:30, the board arrived. Priya first, then Andre, then Thomas, then the others. Gwen came wearing red lipstick and a black suit, claiming she was there only to behave if absolutely necessary. Marisol arrived with final documents and a warning not to improvise. I always improvise, I said. Yes, and I always age. The hospital delegation arrived next. Dr. Elaine Porter, Director of Women's Recovery Services at St. Catherine's, shook my hand with both of hers. Ms. Hart, she said, I want you to know we are ready. The project will not lose its purpose. That loosened something in my chest. That is all I needed to hear. At 10:45, Richard Vale arrived alone. The room noticed. Vale absence had become its own announcement. He approached me carefully. Eleanor is coming, he said. I expected that. Lucas too. I looked at him. Why? He asked to attend as former project representative. Is he still authorized? No. Then he is a guest. Richard nodded. I told him that. He looked older than the week before. Consequences had taken the starch out of him. I felt a distant sympathy, but not responsibility. Richard, I said, today is not for your family. I know. Do they? His silence answered. At 10:58, Eleanor entered. She wore navy, not silver, no pearls. That startled me more than if she had arrived in morning black, without pearls. Her throat looked exposed. Lucas came behind her. He looked thinner, unshaven. His suit was expensive but poorly pressed, as if he had dressed himself without the invisible labor of staff, mother, fiancé, or assistant smoothing him into public shape. Sienna did not come. I heard later she had flown to Miami 2 nights earlier, after Blake Strategic Communications lost 3 contracts and a reporter published her police station contradiction. She had not gone to Lucas. She had gone where doors were still available. Lucas's eyes found mine immediately. I looked away first, not because I was weak, because I no longer owed his gaze a home. Thomas called the session to order. The agenda was simple: terminate Heart Foundation disbursement pathway through Vale Foundation, approve St. Catherine's as new medical project partner, rename the initiative, authorize public statement, preserve all claims related to misconduct and financial irregularities. Each motion landed like a nail in a door. Eleanor sat in the second row, hands folded. Her face stayed still until Thomas read the project name. The Margaret Hart Women's Recovery Center. Her eyes closed. That was the second public cost. The first had been losing control of the money. The second was losing my mother's name. She had used Margaret as leverage. Now Margaret's name stood without her. Dr. Porter presented the revised project plan. No glamour, no society gala nonsense, treatment rooms, legal advocacy offices, trauma counseling, emergency housing referrals, transparent budgets, independent oversight, my mother's kind of work. When Dr. Porter finished, the board voted unanimous. I stepped onto the stage to sign. The pen felt heavier than it should have. The screen behind me showed the new project title, simple black letters on white, Margaret Hart. Women's Recovery Center. I signed my name, Vivian Hart. The applause began softly, then filled the room. I did not cry, not because I was cold, because some moments deserved clear eyes. After the session, people gathered in small clusters. Reporters were not allowed inside this time, but a foundation photographer took official pictures. Nora managed the doors with quiet pride. Andre stood near the screen looking like a man who had survived a fire drill that turned out to be an actual fire. Eleanor approached when I was placing the signed documents into Marisol's folder. Marisol immediately moved closer. It's all right, I said. Eleanor stopped an arm's length away. For once, she did not enter my space as if it belonged to her. Vivian, she said. I waited. Her eyes dropped briefly to my left hand. I owe you an apology that is not attached to funding. Yes. Her mouth tightened at the directness, but she continued. I slapped you, twice, in public. I allowed my fear and pride to become violence. I tried to minimize it. I tried to control the evidence. I used your mother's name against you. I studied her. It was a better apology. It was also late. Why now? I asked. Her face shifted. Because I lost everything else. At least it was honest. The board, she said. The project, Richard's trust, Lucas's future, my reputation. That is not everything. Her eyes lifted. You still have the chance to tell the truth to investigators. She looked away. There she was, still calculating, even humbled. Eleanor measured honesty by cost. Will you pursue charges? She asked. That depends on counsel and investigators. I am asking you. No, I said. You are asking the woman you hit to manage the consequences of being hit. She swallowed. Please, she whispered. Have mercy. Same words, different room. No service elevator, no crooked pearls, no bank crisis hidden behind a plea. But still, mercy as a transaction. I looked at her, and for the first time, I felt almost nothing. Not rage, not fear, not the desperate wish to be accepted, only distance. Eleanor, I said, mercy was never mine to give. What happens next belongs to what you did, what you signed, what you tried to erase, and what you are willing to admit. Her face crumpled slightly. She turned away before anyone could see more. Lucas was waiting near the side aisle. Of course he was. He held the ring, not in the velvet box, in his palm, as if carrying it bare made the gesture more sincere. I almost walked past, then I stopped because endings deserve clean edges. He approached slowly. I heard the project name, he said. Yes, your mom would be proud. Pain moved through me. Small, sharp, unexpected. You don't get to use her for tenderness now. He flinched. I'm sorry. I know. I mean it. I know that too. His eyes searched my face, looking for a crack shaped like him. I gave him truth instead. Sorry is not a bridge by itself. He looked down at the ring. I keep thinking about the moment you took it off. So do I. I thought you were trying to punish me. I was trying to save myself. He nodded, tears gathering. I should have followed you. Yes, I should have taken your hand. Yes, I should have told my mother to leave. Yes, I should have told Sienna she was not welcome. Yes, the repeated words stripped him. No argument, no comfort, just the record. He held out the ring. I don't know what to do with this. Keep it, sell it, throw it in the river, give it back to your mother. I bought it for you. No, your mother chose it for the family. You used it for control. I wore it because I mistook endurance for commitment. His hand closed around the diamond. Is there any future where we speak again? He asked. Through lawyers for now, and later. I looked around the ballroom, the stage where I had refused their script, the screen where the truth had played, the floor where I had stood with a burning cheek and a ring on my finger. Then I looked at Lucas. Later. I hope I remember you without needing to forgive you. He covered his mouth. I could have touched his arm. Once, I would have. I would have translated his grief into my duty. Instead, I stepped back. Goodbye, Lucas. His face broke. Vivian. I turned away before my love for the man he failed to be could drag me toward the man he was. Gwen waited by the doors. Ready? She asked. I looked back once. Eleanor sat alone in the second row, shoulders bent, no pearls at her throat. Richard stood near the exit speaking to Investigator Whitcomb. Lucas remained by the aisle, ring in hand, looking. At the stage where my name had replaced his family's claim, Malcolm was absent, Sienna was gone. The Vale family, once so polished from a distance, now looked like people left after a party they could not afford. Yes, I said outside. The winter sun hit the hotel steps. Reporters waited behind barriers. But Marisol had arranged a short statement and nothing more. I stood before the cameras in the same black suit, my mother's watch at my wrist. MS. Hart. What happens to the Vale family now? That is for investigators, lenders, and their own choices to determine. Do you feel vindicated? I thought about the word. Vindication sounded loud, triumphant, complete. What I felt was quieter, a door unlocked from the inside. I feel clear, I said. Will you ever reconcile with Lucas Vale? No. The single word moved through the microphones. No explanation, no apology, no softened edge. A woman in the crowd asked, "What would you say to people who think you went too far?" I looked directly at the cameras. I would say that leaving quietly is not the same as being silent. I would say a woman can protect her work, her name, and her body without asking permission. I would say the first slap was not my shame. The second was not my shame. What I chose after them belongs to me. That was all. Paul opened the car door. Gwen slid in beside me. Marisol took the front seat. My phone buzzed with messages I did not need to read. As the car pulled away from the Hawthorne Grand, I did not look back. Again the city moved around us, indifferent and alive. A woman pushed a stroller across the corner. A delivery cyclist cursed at a cab. Steam rose from a manhole. Somewhere, someone was late, someone was laughing, someone was beginning again without ceremony. Gwen reached over and squeezed my hand. "What now?" she asked. I looked at my bare finger for the first time. It did not look empty, it looked available to my own life. "Now," I said, "we build the center." And after that, I watched sunlight slide across the glass towers. After that, I learn what peace feels like when nobody is charging me for it. Marisol laughed softly from the front seat. Gwen leaned back. "Your mother would like that." I touched the gold watch at my wrist. "Yes," I said, "I think she would." Behind us, the Hawthorne Grand disappeared into traffic, taking with it the chandelier, the orchids, the ring, the slap, the script they wrote for me, and the family that thought mercy was another word for access. I had entered that ballroom as a woman they believed would fold. I left it as the woman who closed the door, not loudly, not cruelly, completely.